I'm testing if Codex Best-of-N feature actually makes it worth switching back from Cursor, or from Droids, or from any other platform. If you've been coding with AI agents, you've kind of had this problem sometimes where you really just kind of want to try these different ideas. And I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes like if I do 2 or 3 more runs of the same exact prompt, I actually get a better result. And this experience has now changed with Codex because they actually have a feature now that blends in with their CLI, not with their CLI, but it's actually a plugin. And the plugin works in VS Code and it also works in Cursor. And we're going to be building a real image processing pipeline that touches the Next.js and Convex backend. So this is actually going to be a real life example because I need this for my app right now. So let me show you how to install the command first. Looks like I'm having trouble broadcasting to LinkedIn, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue without that. And let me just go ahead and continue here. Is it going to let me? Hopefully my stream keeps working because it's a little frozen right now. Oh no, okay. Please bear with me. I'm having some technical difficulties with my stream setup. I should be changing over right now, but it's currently stuck on this view. So I guess let me just go ahead and show you. There is an actual install command if you're watching right now. I think this is still live. Hopefully it's not hanging. If not, I'm just going to restart my stream because this is totally messing up right now. Let me go ahead. Okay. Oh, here we go. Cool. Great. So here, there is a link here that you want to go ahead and install. So you want to install this into your terminal by using this command in Cursor. Because if you go in Cursor right now, when you try to go to like the plugins, what happens in the extensions is not going to give you the latest version. So if you type in Codex, people are actually going to see the older version of Codex. And so you may not see this version. And if you do see it, then you should be able to install it as long as you have 0.5.20. But there's this command you can run below, and this command below will actually get the extension installed for you inside of Cursor. So this is the VS Code command. So if you're in actually VS Code, you can just change out where it says Cursor and just say code instead. And that way, like when you take a look at that command there, so it's a cursor -- install -- extension and then space OpenAI.ChatGPT. So you can do that also for any other plugin you want. When that's in the store, you have to make sure you have that little domain. And then the @ symbol is basically telling you what specific version you want to grab. And so a lot of times it won't grab it unless, like they usually do like a canary deployment. So in the first 24 hours, they'll make sure it doesn't brick anything and then they'll turn it on live for everyone else. So that's a little bit of kind of what that looks like. And I just want to give you a quick update. So this is when you have Codex installed, it usually puts the plugin over here, and then you should be able to just kind of grab the little header file and just drag it over to the right side. I like to have it kind of on the right side here. And I've already done a run because for those who are kind of following on X and have come here, I got to the point where you can actually hit this, at the last step, I was doing everything locally. And in the last step, you can select the dropdown and select cloud. And then you can tell it how many different attempts you want to do. So you can do like 4 different attempts. And at this point, what's nice about it is that now it's going to run all 4 of them. And in the example that they showed live on OpenAI's thing is the fact that like when you do that, usually 1 of the 4 would be like a lot better than the rest of them. And you have a little bit of variety, especially when you run these models over and over again. And for me, I've had a lot of really great success just running Codex in general. And this is exactly kind of what it looks like on the web. So you can also preview this in ChatGPT as well, also on the phone app, and you can kind of see all the different files it did. So it's interesting because in my actual plan, this is something that I didn't kind of walk through. So I want to see if I can pop into the history here. And then I can kind of show you a little bit of what my whole conversation looked like for the planning. So what I'm going to go ahead and quickly do is I'm going to see if I can preview. Yeah, here we go. So in here, this whole plan is kind of the conversation I had. And if you want to know how many tokens this used up, it only used up 110,000 tokens. So that's pretty awesome for me as far as like how much stuff that it used up there. And what it did is we basically did research on the imaging pipeline. My app is currently called AnimeLeak. So AnimeLeak.com, you upload an image and basically starts to actually show you where the anime is coming into your into your photograph. So you'll get cool like hand drawings and various little things that get into your photograph. So this is kind of awesome. So like my picture of my thing, it'll basically choose an item and it'll kind of draw itself onto it. And it's currently not yet like it's technically live right now, but it's currently in a dev mode. So when you go buy credits and you purchase credits, this is currently hooked up with Polar, and I've been kind of vibe coding this, which has been super fun. And in here, you'll see I currently have the Polar sandbox, and this is currently running on the back end. There is a problem though. When I'm on Vercel and I look up the actual observability, the big problem I have is the source images that do get uploaded, while they are compressed, from the iPhone from 10 megabytes or whatever it is, it goes down to 2 megabytes or so. I am still having to do a conversion, like 98% plus on the website, so that I can go ahead and do, actually display the images to you in my app. So if I go to, AnimeLeak.com, in here, it has to initially download the images and then do the conversion and then display them to you. And once they're in here, they're using the Next.js like caching thing, which is really nice. So if I sign out of my actual thing, so you can kind of see like all of these images were already loaded, but these ones haven't loaded yet. So they took a little while. I click it and then it does its thing there. So see, like that one had to actually download the 3 megabyte image, do this type of thing, processing and so forth. And I don't know about you, because I vibe coded this app, there's like a lot of other things that weren't done or feature complete yet, but I just want to make sure I got the feature and the feel and everything. And now I feel pretty comfortable saying, okay, this is kind of cool. We've come a long way. We've even designed this nice little landing page and everything like that. But I actually want to start taking money from people and start actually getting it really out there so that more people can actually start using this. And I want to actually improve this so that it becomes really efficient. And so what better way to do this is to use OpenAI's Codex. And so the research, this is kind of like a little bit of the reasoning why behind this type of thing. And so the next part of it is basically to implement this plan for the image processing pipeline. And so the version I like is version 2, because it's just going to do like a really quick little blur, generate something that's kilobytes in size for like the preloaded images, and have all the information kind of stacked together for the height. And we do that when we're doing the processing steps and so forth. And so this is looking pretty good. I'm going to just go back into Codex and I'm going to go back into that conversation. So in the local conversation, you can see this is my whole conversation with it. I even gave it a screenshot of Vercel's thing and tell it to use the exa MCP, and also told it to use the use ref.tools MCP. And so that's what it was able to look up all this information. And it doesn't eat up a lot of the context window because it's extremely efficient at search. And so now for my processing, you can see that it's going to keep everything. It caps it at a 5 megabyte size, but it downscales everything. And I'm only going to be basically handing off 20, like kilobytes in size of images, and take advantage of the new WebP processing before the upload. So I want this upload to happen beforehand, and then go ahead and do the update afterwards. So this is going to be really cool. And by the way, for context, I used to be an engineer at Apple, but I never really done a lot of web development and so forth. So it's been really fun these days to kind of spend a lot of time focusing on like web development, because it's, all the AI goodies are there. I get the AI SDK, TypeScript, like a lot of this stuff is really new to me. And so I'm approaching it from that angle. It's like, I know that things kind of work, but getting to the weeds and the level of detail, I still need to know what happens. But I'm learning when you go from being an engineer and working on these really high level things that affect lots of people, you have levels of detail that, kind of really go into the weeds of things. Sometimes they may not be relevant for a startup or entrepreneur to ship. So I'm now having to put on my entrepreneur hat and just say, can I get an MVP out there and get people to sign up? And so far, 100 people have actually signed up and generated images, which is great, for free on my dime. And so that means like there's some traction here, and I now need to take this to the next level and actually make it sort of production ready. And using this to kind of like actually kind of help me with, the AI coding. The AI coding stuff has been really fun. And, I'm kind of trying to steer the models in the directions that I want to go. So a lot of these details are really, really important for this type of stuff, and getting the latest information for how we do this type of thing. So this was the big plan that was generated here. And I think now that hopefully you've been able to get this installed, running that commands, and getting Codex kind of running and maybe kicking off some runs. So like the goal of this entire chat was really to just generate this plan and then move it from local. And if you go to local down here and change it from works locally to in the cloud, that's when you start to see that little cloud icon. And that's what you saw kind of over here. And so with that cloud icon, once you do that, you can actually change the number of attempts that you want to run. So from 1 version to 4. And what's nice about that is you can see it like kick off something in Codex. And Codex, if you haven't set up the repo, you'll have to go ahead and do that. But once you do that, it's pretty straightforward. after that, then this is kind of where we see our different attempts. So the attempt that I looked at was number 2, because it says it expanded the convex schema and everything. And so theoretically, we should be able to get those changes from the cloud and apply it right into our actual environment, which would be really awesome. So let me go ahead and see if I can kind of do that right now, and see if we can just let it cook. So I just want to make sure everything's set up in Git and everything's just to make sure I'm ready to accept this feature. So yeah, I've already made a specific repo here. It says, am I in the right one? No, I'm going to go ahead and make the right thing. So let's see, Git Tower. I'm going to check on the comments as well. How do you check the usage in CC usage? In OpenAI, if you just go to ChatGPT, you should be able to go to the settings and it actually tells you how much usage you have. Also, like in this little settings icon, if you click that, it's going to give you some options and it's going to show you some of the usage in there as well. So just found out about your channel and just finished watching the Super Grok 4 heavy video. Very interesting. Yeah, that's the one where I spend $300 on the stream and we go for like 3 to 4 hours testing all the hype and find out that it's actually not worth the $300. Yeah, that was an amazing live stream. I was dying on that live stream. I swear to God. I love this. What software are you using for screen share? I'm using Ecamm Live. Yeah, let me just go ahead and just get this Git Tower thing going. So I want to kick this off and catch up in the comments. I'm a little bit behind. So one of the, I love GUIs for doing things, and I've been using Git Tower for like a decade or something like that. And so I don't mind Git command line stuff, but I mean, I've had to deal with thousands of projects and different tags and merging stuff in and pulling stuff from different builds. And so I've always preferred kind of like this nice like GUI interface, and I tend to move pretty fast, but it's pretty fun. So one of the things I like to do is say create new branch from main. And I also like to just show this workflow. It's a lot easier to show people how like Git works because I'm a visual learner and I think a lot of you are visual learners. And so I type in feature image pipeline. So I'm going to check out the branch. And so what I'm doing here basically is just going to create a new branch for all of my changes to come in, because anything that I push to main is instantly going to go into production. And so with Vercel, whenever I generate a feature branch like this, as soon as I like start to sync it and publish it back up, it's not going to go into production. So I get a private link that I can test and make sure that everything's working correctly. So we have this here because we're going to be making a lot of changes to our databases. So once that's kind of set there, I can go ahead and publish this branch now. So this is actually going to be, technically live and building in production. And now I want to pull the changes down from Codex, which are currently in the cloud, in the OpenAI's cloud environment, and pull them right into our repo. And this is using not the VS Code. I'm currently using Cursor. This is the Codex actual plugin. So let's go ahead and take version 2, which is this one, and go ahead and apply it. So the changes have been applied. Boom. I'm going to get rid of this on the side, and we're going to get rid of the code diff. So like we can kind of even review the diff here. And so what I'm going to do is run, bunx convex dev, just to make sure that the dev environment builds correctly with now that all the changes are in and images get pushed back up. So we do have some actual issues to fix here with convex. So you can mark as external and exclude it from the bundle. This will remove the error and resolve the path. So I think there's a unresolved image size type of thing. I also, because the package JSON changed, I think I may have to run a bun install. Just checking. So yeah, that's actually what happened. I was missing that package. So let me just go ahead and see bunx convex dev just to run the build there. So what I'm doing here is basically Convex has their own type of thing you can run, and it actually pushes the functions up into Convex. And now all the types are being generated, and then that's going to be pushed back up into Convex as well. So now that I'm ready, and I'm going to do command, if you do the command backslash this way, it's the one basically above the enter key from the US keyboard, bun dev. So now I should have the dev server running. So theoretically now, when I sign in, all my images should now take advantage of this new processing thing. So this is pretty cool. Out of the 4 runs, we'll see how it can go in. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in real quick to start, because I don't want to expose like my 50 million Gmail accounts that I have. They're different. Every time you create a business or do something, you have to like create a Gmail account or a new domain and stuff like that. And so, yeah, if you collect a lot of domains, you tend to have lots of emails, and yeah, it's just easier for me anyways. All right, cool. So here we are. We're currently loaded with the new build and stuff. And so what I want to do is grab an image, and I want to grab something like one of my actual desktop, I have some examples. Let's see, there's sample images. Yeah. So in one of my sample images, I think I have my dog. I have another one here for my friend. I have me. We'll do my friend Chuck. He's great. So now we're going to do the upload. And so what I want to check is, are we going to now take advantage of this new WebP format for the processing? And then we also have that image blur thing, which was, oh, this is nice. It's actually pretty snappy. And then I want to see if, like, when we do finish processing, does it like, yeah, it should be pretty fast. This is cool. So you can kind of see the umbrellas turned into like a drawings and stuff like that, which is awesome. And like our image compression, it's like, it's really, really compressed. So we can probably work on that. But as of now, because it's free, I just want to make sure that this works. You know, if I share this images with friends, like this is the share link, and then this is what they'll see on their device. So it loads pretty fast. And if I open image in new tab, I should be able to see the image here, and it looks like it just downloads it. And if I download it and open it, it looks like it's a PNG file. And if I look at the PNG file, it's 568 kilobytes. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty fast. And then if I go into here, I can actually see the share images. So in my Convex backend, it says that the shared image was generated successfully, and we have our image IDs. So let me see if I can go into Convex and grab the image ID, convex.dev dashboard, I think. And then that's pretty fire. I think this is really cool. Let's see. I have so many different apps. Let's see. Files. Okay. So in our logs, let's see what our logs say. Okay. This looks good. Get images by IDs cached. Great. And then go to data, I think. No. I think functions, files, right? So this is the latest file. So it's like 1.4 megabytes. That's interesting. I'm going to copy this over and say I gave it a photo, and this is kind of what I'm seeing, and seeing if it can kind of take a look and fix it. So as far as a one shot, it definitely works, but I don't actually know like any details as far as like how the compression, like if it actually worked or not, you know, comparatively, because like when I download the image or when I do display it, it is taking advantage of the Next.js like processing. But I thought the upload was supposed to be a lot smaller. So I think I want to ask some more questions. What I would like to do is kind of check this in as a draft. So I can just say, actually, I'll just leave it like this, because you know what? We already have the code already running inside of what do you call it? Inside, we have all the code running currently in Codex. So if we go back to Codex here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is it's asking us to revert or apply the changes. And you notice how this bottom one changed to local. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to say, I uploaded a test image, and I saw, someone's trying to call, I think. I saw, let's see, what did I see? I see, says the blind man. Okay, I uploaded and saw the following. Let's see, okay. Saw the, and then let me see if I can go to grab the actual size here. So I'm gonna see if I can grab a new Finder window in my desktop, because I have it in my desktop here. Two screenshot, okay. Okay. The images might not be optimized for the upload. And I'm going to add an image here. Go into here and open. Okay. So now we have the screenshot, and I want to go ahead and just tell it to run. Okay. So it has a lot of context on what I've done already. And I just want to check the code and see, like, am I missing something here? I'm totally new to this like image processing type of thing, and I really want it to be all done on the client side. So by the time it sends it up to Convex, it's already kind of compressed and ready to go. Because I don't know. Well, previously it was like 3 or 4 megabytes, but now it's going to be like a little bit different size here. So how much are you spending on Codex monthly. You know what's funny? It's that like I stopped using Codex because I started using Cursor, and then I stopped using Cursor because I started using Droid. And so I've been kind of trying all the different ones. I'm trying Claude Code. So I actually spread out a lot of my AI coding on all these different things. So that's kind of what it is. Oh, how's it going, Lisa Ross? Huge love to Ray for showing me Convex. I moved all my open projects over, and it's 10xing my backend and agent RAG vector work now that I've tuned my agents to MCPs and understand. That is crazy. Yeah, I'm so glad that you're loving Convex. You know, I'm actually working to try to partner with them because I love them so much. I talk about them all the time. And I've tried a lot of other databases, and this is the one I just keep going back to because of the tooling. The tooling is easy. It's just all kind of built in, and because it's written in TypeScript, it plays well with agents. And I like also the fact that everything is literally in code, right? So now I think about my abstractions a little bit differently. So the front end is literally just reactive, and we're just waiting for these different keys. So when I'm doing a processing, I just write a key saying I'm processing. And so the front end is just, going to show UI for the things that are processing. And when it's complete, that flag gets marked as complete right on Convex, and the front end is just listening for complete. And then it just, it's just like, it's really beautiful. And so now you just think about your data just kind of living, like your source of truth is literally just in Convex. And then you're just on the front end, just peeking into the back end and saying, okay, what state are you at right now? And then reacting as you need to do. So that's kind of my favorite thing to do. So best is to pay $20 and use the high thinking model. It's slower and rarely hits limits. Of course, if you want to provide code 24/7, you must get the expense plan. I have different feelings. I'm still experimenting because I've tried GPT-5 High, and I find that a really good, solid peer of like what I used to use for Opus 4.1 or 4 whatever thinking. And, for generating plans, they're both really good. Now Codex, just default Codex is really good at planning, just straight up. And when I say default, I mean whatever this auto mode is, I find it really, really awesome. And I actually found it a lot faster than when it initially launched. So yeah, let me go back in the comments really quick. Just say hello. Yo, hello, how's it going, Matty? I can't get version to load. I think if you haven't had a chance to try that link to install it in Cursor, you might have to hit this like exact thing. If you're on YouTube, you can just scroll back up on the live stream comments. You'll be able to just copy and paste this out. I also have this posted on X, so you should be able to see this on X over here. And I think I have one of the commands over here somewhere. I posted a lot today, but you'll see it. Yeah, this specific one will actually show you how to get the extension installed. It took me a while to figure this out, but then once I figured this out, it's like, this is gold. This works for any other plugin, by the way, so that's in the actual market. And then you can actually add the extension, .vsx or whatever it is for the extension if you actually downloaded it locally. But this is probably the fastest way to do it, since a lot of the stuff is usually published live. The stream video quality is blurry. Is it still blurry right now? Because I had some issues at the very beginning of my stream because one of them couldn't get sent out. But if anyone has any insight, please let me know how things are going. Appreciate it. Love everyone for bringing the sauce. Yeah. So right now we're just having Codex kind of take a look at the plan and making sure that the current implementation is actually working as we were expecting. And so it's actually looked like it's editing the update types here. So this would be really interesting. What I would love from the Codex team to see if they can actually give us some more of the thinking that's going on, because I'd love to see kind of what's happening underneath the hood. That way I can learn a little bit more. I kind of use it as a learning tool. Every time the switch... I mean, you're not wrong, Lisa. You're not wrong. That's what's up. Yeah. Let's see. In Codex extension, click the plus icon and you have an option to see a 5-hour limit and weekly limit. Yes, those are the people who are asking how to check the usage, just like CC usage as well. So yeah. Let's go. Claude Code versus Codex. Thoughts on this? Because I have this plan, that's actually what we're going to do next. I'm going to create a new branch and then check like Droid. And I want to check all of them if I got time. It's currently 10 o'clock right now. I think I got time because it would be really cool to see how they generate the code. So this plan was already, ran for like 15 minutes in Codex. Like I ran 4 different instances. Each of them ran for 10 to 15 minutes. So maybe I should kick one of those off right now in a different branch. That way it can, kind of update itself. But because I'm running locally, I might have to make it like a Git work tree type of thing here. So let's see what it's saying. So I updated the Gemini action. So we asked for the API on the WebP output, capture the return inline MIME type, and reuse the detected format when storing metadata. So now you see the WebPS requests here. So the generation config type. Okay. Plus a safety log if Gemini still falls back to the non-WebP format. Okay, that's right, because Gemini will generate its own things. I forgot about that. That's a really good point. Added a warning for log when Gemini refuses WebP so we can spot the regressions. Actually, can you use the, I want you to use ref MCP, ref for search, and exa AI MCP to gather research and not make this type of assumption. You are... Okay. So I'm basically scolding GPT-5 Codex to do some research. I think they're right, but I think they're also like, I want to know, like, one of the unknowns here is like, there's probably something in the documentation that explains how we can optimize this. Cause I'm pretty sure, Google's handling lots of different types of images from iPhones to, compressed formats and everything. And so when they generate the images, they're going to usually generate an image that comes back. So now I'm basically told it to use my favorite two MCPs, use ref and exa, and it's actually doing those types of searches right now for the documentation. So now it's actually searching the Gemini Flash image preview. It's going to grab the most up-to-date information, obviously, and then this is also doing that as well. And so in Codex, we're now giving it like superpowers to say, hey, make sure you stay recent, and then it's going to learn some things and hopefully kind of apply that. And so far, we've only used 42,000 tokens. So that's from getting the changes from Codex in our local environment and then applying them and now using this research task. So this is really cool. So now we're just going to let it run for its thing. So that's what's up. Cloud. Okay. Yeah. If you're a vibe coder, it doesn't matter. Both are great. Okay. Codex with a $20 plan enough? To be honest, I think you're going to have to go with the big boy plans, but if you're literally vibe coding every single day with this type of thing, you're going to need more than $20 a month. I mean, I think seriously, if you want to do agentic coding, it's going to be like $200 a month for some of the frontier models, right? If you wanted to do something for free, there's like something called AMP. AMP code actually provides a free model. And I think under the hood, they'll switch it out between the different providers. But you get ads that show up in your CLI, which aren't that bad, to be honest. And the other one is like you'll probably use, whatever free model of the day that they've chosen. I think right now people are saying it's Grok. And Grok is pretty good. But if, that'll help you get started. Don't forget about Gemini CLI, by the way. Gemini CLI is basically free, but I think they're still fixing these different things. They had a lot of hiccups at launch. I haven't had a chance to look at it again, but that's another different way to kind of take a look at that if you're kind of looking at, if costs, savings, and so forth. If you've been using Codex for long runs, big implementations without a problem, but for specific bug correction, sometimes GPT-5 High works better for me. I agree. And I think sometimes I open a new chat and run High so that it has a larger context window to run in, because if you already towards the end, like 50% is usually my general cutoff anyways. If it gets more than 50%, I start to think about moving on to the next thing so that I can do this thing. If you're using Droid, by the way, I found out in Droid, they don't really show you this because they're actually actively pruning and doing the different things. So you can just keep one conversation going for like a feature that you're shipping. And to me, I find that really, really cool and very helpful. And that's another thing that we're going to try to look at here while this is going. We're going to probably see, first I want to see if this can get done, and then see if we can pop into like Droid or something like that and to kind of take a look at Droid and give it the same plan and see if we can actually implement it. Running in spec mode and all that stuff. So that'd be really interesting because this is a pretty good problem to have. And then it also has access to my two favorite MCPs as well. So we'll be kind of sort of doing some similar comparisons. Codex, yeah, that's right. Does Convex have a free plan? Yes, it actually does. Supabase is nice, but they only allow 2 projects on the free plan. Dude, the Convex free plan is super generous. Like, not only that, you can have team members on your free plan, which is crazy too. So that I would definitely check that out. Have any thoughts on Gemini 3.0? I don't think it's publicly released yet, right? Windsurf is good for free models. Yes, also Windsurf, by the way. Yeah, which is a VS Code fork, similar to here. There's a lot of good free models that drop on there, and it's not a bad thing to have. I haven't tried Gemini CLI recently, and that'll be something to compare to. Probably when the like 3.0 officially drops, it would be pretty cool. Codex is free to use in Windsurf? Bro, really? Okay. Are we switching again, bro? You're like, I just can't. Yeah, no, yeah. I think, no, I don't know. I love Cursor. I love this. I love Codex. I'm trying to figure out which of these workflows do I like better. You know, I like this cloud thing where you kick off literally like 4 cloud instances. And if you're watching right now, I know the Cursor team's probably like listening to this, but I'm hearing from some birdies at that Cursor headquarters that they're going to be, you know, trying to improve this work, or not that they already have this workflow that's going, if you're not aware of. And I want to show you that real quick. It's called the background agent. So if you go to background, you can select not only one, but like if you select multiple models, you can check them here. See, the thing that's not intuitive right now is that when you're selecting different models, you can only select one for the background. But what most people don't know is you can hold Option key, or is it Shift? See, I don't even remember because I don't really do it that often. You can hold a key, I think is it Control or Shift? Oh man, this is so bad. Come on, guys, fix this UI. This is so painful. I don't even know what key. I remember doing this a couple times. Okay, this is annoying. I used to be able to select multiple models, but I can't anymore. Oh my goodness. Is it Shift? Oh, come on, buddy. Control? Hold on. Oh, I can't even do it anymore. Okay, I used to be able to select multiple models, and I think it was like either Control or Shift or Option. Oh no. Okay, so they need to fix the UI. I don't know what it is, but you used to be able to select like 3 or 4 different models that you wanted to run in parallel. That's currently gone, I guess, or regressed. And you can do exactly what you were doing with Codex, but it runs in their background agent. And their background agent is really, really good. It's similar to Codex. And what's nice about it is that it does have a web interface just like you do in Codex, all that different stuff, but you're going to be paying per use. So like whatever the tokens are that run in the background, you're going to be paying for those tokens. And then once they are done, you can hit accept, or you can, bring them right into Cursor just like you're doing with Codex. Or you can just create a pull request and just put it right into a branch that's either in your dev branch or your main branch or wherever you want to put it, if you like the results. And you can continue to iterate from that. And then Cursor has a web app. You just go on the web, same thing. You can continue to ask questions just like you normally would. So each of these kind of have their own flavors of things. And I from what I understand from talking to some people at the Cursor team is that they're currently trying to like make this workflow better. And the first one you need to select is like how can you have multiple background agents? Because this should be able to have more than one selection, and it used to be able to do that, and that currently regressed. So that's what's up. So yeah, Pascal. I could see, we're crying right now because we're switching too much, right? All right, so let's take a look. Because the SDK doesn't document WP support, relying on response should be speculative. So I remove that assumption from the generate command. So let me go over to the generate. Oh, shoot. Okay. So the action is back to the documented behavior. To get WebP masters, we'll need an explicit re-encode step after fetching the generated PNG, for example, via a node encoder such as this, or another server-side WP router instead of depending on an unsupported API flag. Okay. So pick a server-friendly encoder. Well, I think we're done because this is already done inside of Vercel. So update, save, generate image to call the converted blob plus metadata. Okay. I think we are done. Because Vercel does this, I want you to walk me through a code flow. And so we can verify. And then, so I'm going to type in the plan. So the name of my plan, I think I have it in my documentation. It's called WebP Master. I know I have so many plans in parallel. This is a WebP Master. So feel free to use ref to search Vercel latest image processing and pricing, and how that works well with our current implementation. Okay, cool. So yeah, these are cool research tasks. I'm kind of learning at the same time just by asking these types of questions, but also, yeah, hopefully it works. Hopefully I still have a connection. Okay. So yeah, have I tried using Tracer? It verifies your code and you can use ref and exa. Oh, no, I have to look that up and see what that is about. That's really interesting. I ended up with both Codex and Claude Code. Claude Code plan audit, and then you can run 24/7 like that and never run out of usage. Yeah, I think once you have a couple of these kind of lined up, that's kind of where the sauce is really at. I don't know what happened to my instance. Hopefully I still have an internet connection. Let's see. Google.com. All right, we're good. Let's see. I think my Codex blew up, guys. No. Okay, do I have to quit Cursor and reopen this again? Okay, let's see. Oh. Can I go back out? I'm going to copy this just so I make sure I have everything. No, it's actually the plugin crashed. No. I'm going to screenshot this so I can copy the text out later. I hate... Okay, I'm going to quit. Can I just restart this plugin? Extensions, Codex. Switch to release version. Okay. Let me just do that. Okay, restart extensions. Oh, so the release version is older. Oh no, switch to pre-release version. Okay, so it's still in pre-release. Okay, so I'm just restarting it. Interesting. Okay, so now I'm back, and then I saw this is kind of where we're at here. So, and then I think if I just paste this in, no. Okay, so this is where I want to go ahead and grab the images again. So I want to grab my latest image here from the desktop. And so with Apple, what they let you do is they actually let you like copy and paste text out of a screenshot. So you should just be able to copy and paste this right back in here. Shazam. Okay. And then I'm going to select this one. WebMD. Okay, cool. Sweet. So yeah, I just basically just restarted the extension and yeah. Okay. And now I'm just going to tell it to do its thing. Okay. That'd be cool. Sweet. Amazing. Another one. All right. So this is now mapping the code flow. It's going to search for the optimization and the pricing. So that way we understand what's going on. What is this Cursor? Yes, this is currently in Cursor. So in Cursor, you can actually run the extension. And in order for you to install the extension, you actually run a command. I actually have it available up earlier here. And this is actually currently in the YouTube description. So if you're currently on YouTube, if you go into the description, you'll actually copy and paste this command. I actually have this in the live stream chat replay. So you can scroll up in the chat and you'll actually see this at the very top. You can copy and paste that out because it still looks like it's a pre-release version technically. And so that's why you're probably not seeing it in your extensions if you're using Cursor right now. Let's see what's going on. GPT-5 Codex is free, but you can't switch between its reasoning levels, and GPT-5 High is paid. I love Windsurf uses workflows, and you can continue to use them in chat threads. So yes, you can't explicitly change between them. And theoretically, when in the API, when they're running their recommended auto mode or /medium, it's going to automatically choose high when it needs to and then go low when it needs to as well. And to be honest, a lot of times it's actually pretty spot on in terms of when I would select high, because I don't always want high because it's going to flood the context window and then I kind of lose out on there. And so I must say that just by default, their model works really well. Unless you're working on something that has really kind of been racking your brain, I would definitely go with those extra cycles and stuff. So that's what's up. Saw GPT image on Open Router. Haven't seen anyone talking about it. Like a new version? I'd love to know. Yeah. Gemini is not very good at debugging. It actually admit defeat. Oh, interesting. Yeah. All right. So what do we learn here? So client prep happens in here. We normalize every selection to a capped WP capture intrinsic byte size with an option for WP blur placeholder. That's good. In the upload UI, it calls the prepare image for upload and then posts the WebP blog to Convex storage. That forward the collected metadata with this to this. Okay, so in here, this is kind of where it does it. So I just want to make sure that that's true. That's true, actually. I see. Okay. And then it validates the stored blob and persists the content type and the blur placeholder on the original record, and then schedules the background job covering phase 2. So I do have some new records now in my data, I think, where it's the images. And I should have placeholder images that are like kilobytes in size. And I think it stores it in one of these blur. Yeah, so this is the dir. Like this is literally kilobytes in size. So you can store it in here. So that's just like one text blob. So this is basically a blurb, a blur file. And this is cool because now when it goes fetches this, it's just going to have everything that it needs for the Next.js, like, so you don't have any like shifting in terms of images and stuff like that. So since we're already doing this processing, we just basically write it up to the database. And then these are all the different parameters. So this is all new code that was generated, by the way, from Codex. So that's pretty awesome. That's cool. And I'm just verifying now that this actual flow works. And so just kind of walking through this step by step. So the more that I kind of understand this in my head, the easier it is going to be to prompt and fix these things. And so this architecture sounds a little strange, but for those who are just kind of tuning in, I have this app called AnimeLeak. And so if you go to animeleak.com right now, technically, if you sign in, I fixed the bug. So you should be able to get, let me see, if you upload an image, it'll choose something and kind of, having some issues loading because the thing doesn't load. So yeah, here is the website. And so you'll take an image here and basically, show like anime will actually start leaking into the photograph, which is pretty cool. And so if you sign in, you basically get 10 images free. And I currently have like a little sandbox environment that's currently running in. And you can actually pay with Polar. So you'll get to pay with Polar. And right now I'm just basically kind of funding this myself because I wanted to check it out. And I wasn't sure if people would actually sign up. So there's been 100 signups so far. And I thought, I think that's my threshold now that about 100 people have signed up I want to turn this into like a real production app. So now that I'm kind of doing that, I need to kind of change the image optimization strategy because initially the images were really large, like 3 megabytes plus. And I'm having Vercel do the image processing. So that's what would compress it down and save like 98%. And so one of the strategies I was trying to do was something like very client side and then kind of upload these types of things. But there is an interesting thing that I'm going to try to experiment with is like how much compression can I actually do to get it to work really smoothly and work really well. You can kind of see there is some compression here. It's not like super duper clear. And these are the parameters I can definitely tweak with these different types of images. So we'll see as far as like what ends up coming out for these types of things. And so that's kind of like the app sort of in a nutshell. And people who are logged in, let me just go ahead and run the server again. Dev. I should be able to run this here. All right. So let's see. Okay. So I have the images that validates the things, generate action. Okay. Front end consumers. Okay. Several surfaces render with fill. So the resizing hints are partially adopted. There's no dedicated documentation update yet for this feature. So phase 5 remains to do outside of the spec itself. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and check these changes in because I actually have liked the changes so far. And with this, so the changes are going to be checked into my feature branch. And this all came from Codex. And I'm going to hit commit. Cool. Now we're going to sync the changes to the server. Some UI surfaces still use fill. So like it looks like there's still some work to be done here. And this is something that we should probably kind of take a look at. So the Codex feature that we shipped and we got in still has some work to be done. So it says generate images, retain metadata, but say PNG because Gemini doesn't expose the web documented. Okay. So the goal would be to require an explicit server-side re-encode step. Okay. So Vercel, February is 2025 pricing. So this is what changed. So the cache write and cache read is like 5 cents per kilobyte of transformation. So that's $4 to $6 per 1 megabyte cache reads. And so every first request that misses the cache incurs a transformation and cache write, regardless of the original format. Interesting. So serving smaller WebP masters cuts the bytes Vercel must ingest and cache, but it doesn't stop that first transformation. So reducing a layout-driven sizes or permutations. Okay, so we have to supply the accurate height and width is what limits the distinct transformation cache keys. Okay, so given the lack of proven Gemini WP output flag, relying on Vercel alone means generated PNGs still trigger heavier first hit work. So re-encoding generated web assets to WebP ourselves would better align with the spec and reduce the cache write volume. So the next steps here are to introduce the WebP encoder to transcode them. So after like Gemini gets the images and kind of generates the PNGs to transcode them back, and then audit the gallery share components to replace fill. Okay, this is a really great plan. And this is from Codex Medium, I guess. Yeah. Interesting. This is Codex high consumes rate quickly. So that's kind of new. I'm really glad that they actually say that. So great. Is it /plan? No, I thought there was like a /plan thing here that they had. I guess not. Oh, okay. So this looks like a great plan. Let's go ahead and just move forward with all of the next steps and make sure that we keep track of them in our documentation. And then I'm going to say at documentation folder. Okay. All right, cool. So now we're just having Codex kind of finish up the rest of our app so that we make sure that it's kind of running there. So that's cool. And then I can do bunx convex dev. So yeah, Codex is just going to continue running its thing. I just leave it on medium because yeah, it thinks really quickly and you don't always need like the big hammer for things. And it's actually very thorough and pretty fast. And so now it's actually going to do some more looking into this specific thing from Exa. So Exa is going to grab the documentation it needs to implement this. And then it's going to now outline the implementation steps here. And then it's reading the agent's MD file for my documentation. So this agent's MD file describes how my documentation works. I'm really glad that that Codex is actually reading this, which is really great. And so this is going to make it learn about how to write my documentation, considering next steps. And so now it's actually reading the code files and going to be doing these types of things. And here's the code tasks. So this is what it's going to do. Transcode the generated images to WebP in Convex generation pipeline using a server-side encoder and update dependencies metadata accordingly. Cool. And then it's going to improve the front-end image rendering to use intrinsic. Great. And document the work. Okay, cool. So I'm pretty confident that Codex should be able to nail this because Codex is really good at instruction following, has a lot of context already of what's going on, and guess how much tokens we've used. Let's go check this out. We've only used, in this entire conversation, 84,000 tokens. So that's pretty good from a context perspective. We've only used 32% of that context window, which is 272. And this is just the Codex plugin inside of Cursor. And this is not bad, you know, as far as like agentic work and stuff, it's pretty much working. It's pretty smooth. And we've switched from grabbing one of the cloud versions, version 2, and saying, let's go ahead and apply the changes locally. We tested it locally. It looks pretty good. And, you know, like it's pretty good for the first run. Obviously, there's still some other issues because I checked the database when I did a test image. It's still fairly large. And this is now where we're kind of uncovering more feature work to be done because it's not really completely done. And so, you know, did it get it right on the first shot? I think it got us like in the direction, and that now we're kind of continuing on here. And it's really interesting to see how, you know, how many tokens this is going to use up for when this feature actually is done. And by the way, I've only stayed on the medium model. I have not switched to Codex high or low. And a lot of this plan was already done, you know, beforehand with the Codex model, just a regular Codex model. So that was like yesterday. I was spending like an hour or something just kind of waiting. While I was by myself, I was like, okay, let me just go and do this. And so that's kind of what we have there. So let me catch up a little bit with the comments so we can kind of catch up with y'all. So GLM to code, Codex to plan. GLM is not bad. I've heard is really, really good things. Hey, Kenneth, how's it going? First time. What are we building? So if you haven't had a chance to see, I'll show you real quick. This is the thing called the AnimeLeak. So if you just go to AnimeLeak, you can kind of sign in. And then I made it with Clerk authentication and then Polar as SH for the payments. And then this is using Convex for the database as well. And we're also using the Nano Banana models from Google Gemini. So that Nano Banana model is the one that takes our images and transforms them and shows us anime. Like anime will just kind of start leaking into the photograph, which is pretty fun here. So This came about when, it was like vibe coding when the Nano Banana image thing came out. My friend Mickey from Convex made this app called Drip Me Out. So Drip Me Out here basically will actually, this is actually what I did. Yeah, I'll show you what the app is. dripmeout.vercel.app. So in this app, basically what it does is it'll actually, if you upload a photo, you don't even upload a photo of yourself. Actually, you just do a webcam. And so from the webcam, what it does is actually gives you like a chain, and it gives you like a grill as well. So it's been pretty funny because people have been uploading different images and stuff, and you can kind of see like George Washington with a chain and stuff like that. I did myself like a while back. You have like Amazon Jeff Bezos with a chain. So I like this whole concept a lot, and I thought it would be really fun to like, one, it's using Convex to do the processing and like, calls the function and takes advantage of that type of thing. So you can, go do off and do other things. And then when the images is done processing, you'll actually get this gallery view. But as you see, there's no like, this is like a prototype app. And so if you click an image, you don't get any other options. And so what we've been doing over the last maybe a month or so is every so often I'll test the new model for agentic coding. So I'll continue working on my little app. And so that's what we have today with AnimeLeak. Now, our feature set is like a lot more rich now because we've had more time to work on it. So in our thing, we basically added, a landing page. Like a couple streams ago, we have like the landing page for AnimeLeak. Let's see if I can show you AnimeLeak. So this is the landing page that we coded up with design, and we actually used this thing called aura.build, AUA.build. So with aura.build, there's a bunch of these really great like designs that you can just incorporate and then copy them in and give it to Cursor and just let it really do its thing. And so it's really cool. So I haven't even got into like the design aspects of how to do some of these things. But by the way, this is all generated with AI. And if you take some of these things from aura.build and put them in your app, people are going to be like, bro, who's your designer? Like, can I hire them? But like it saves you a bunch of money. So I think I spent like $200 on Stream because I wanted to prepay for the year. So it's like $16.99 a month or something like that. And look at this, like I'm hovering my mouse over this thing. This is crazy. And this is all done with AI, which is insane. But you can get this design and add it into your app, right? Like all the code is available there. So you can actually do that and just prompt it. And that's what we did. So I got like one of the components for the header. Let me see if I could actually find it here. This is a very distracting site, by the way. I can spend hours just scrolling through these designs, and I almost did. I almost got so distracted, sidetracked. So this is the design I basically got. And so you can do light mode, dark mode, and then you just grab the code and then copy and paste it right into Cursor. And then that's basically what I did. And we did that live, and that's how we turned it into like this type of thing. And we give it some instructions midway. And we were testing the Sonnet 4.5 model, and this is Sonnet 4.5, inside of Cursor in plan mode. It did really, really good. And I was really excited about how that turned out. Obviously, we're not completely done, but as far as an MVP, I'm just trying to get this out there because people have been using the app and they've enjoyed it. And these are the things I want. People want a way to delete images as well. So like if they wanted to delete an image, they can do that. Now the image is gone. And then if they wanted like share or not share, they can turn it off. So like if you do the share link, now like it won't be available and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. You turn it on, come back, it's now available and so forth. So it's pretty sweet. You can feature it in the public gallery and stuff like that. So now if you go to AnimeLeak, this will actually be featured here. So, oh, there's a bug. I got to fix this bug. This is a new bug because we introduced I haven't pushed the code to production yet. So the images that are flagged and all the different things that it's referencing in production is like, it's like, I don't know what to do with this, and it crashes out. So I'm probably going to be in a crash loop. Which one did I enable for sharing? I don't even remember. Was it this one? I think it was this one. Hopefully. Was it this one? Okay. Feature in public gallery. Maybe not. I don't remember which one I featured. Is this one maybe? Yeah. So my app is crashing and I got to figure that out. But I think it'll change once I deploy it to production. Anyways, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but that's AnimeLeak, and you probably can't use it right now because I totally crashed the app. And I forgot what I did, which specific image I did. So I think it was this one, right? Feature in public gallery. Let's see, anime. Okay. If I can't figure out what image it is, then we're going to go back. Okay. Yeah, it's probably, I don't remember. I think it was this one. Yeah, we're so back. We're so back. Yeah, that was the one. Okay. But yeah, it would actually show up in here. And that's because I haven't pushed the code yet to production. And that's why. And I have my dev database in production, and the sandbox for payments and stuff is also there. So like, even though you're paying, even if you accidentally pay with your real credit card, it's not going to get charged because it's in a sandbox environment. So right now you can do all these types of things. It's asking for a bash command for approval. What are we doing here? Okay. Run the bash bun install. Okay. What's going on here? Edit the package. Let's see. Instead of editing, okay. Instead of editing the package and doing bun install, you should just do bun add. And then whatever the package name is this one. So I see this very common in a lot of LLMs right now. And by the way, I'm using WhisperFlow, and holy smokes, did you realize how I like added these little backticks to it? So I love this for agentic coding, by the way. Instead of it, you should just do bun add and then this. Okay. There's a link below which goes to a referral, and like, that actually supports the channel now because I got like a referral link, which is pretty cool. And that'll be that. So that bun add. Okay. I'm going to send this over. So yeah, basically I'm just telling it to don't do that, bro. And what ends up happening is sometimes they'll write their own version that's in their training set. And so it doesn't actually get the latest version of that package. And so I'm going to see what it's doing here. Okay, I'm just going to do it myself. Screw you guys. Screw you, AI. I'm just going to do this myself. I did it with my bare hands. Now we have the right version. I just did it myself. I just installed it myself. And then I'm going to give it this. All right, cool. I don't know what directory it's working off of and what these files. What are these files? Okay. Yes. LF rm-rf.temp. Yes. Okay. I want to make sure I don't rf whatever. Okay. rm-rf.temp. Okay. Approve once. Guys, I'm going to delete my whole file system right now. No, just play. See, yeah. I got to watch it with these rm.rf. That's why I don't do run dangerously YOLO everything, because imagine if there was a space or something that happened, or rm.rf.dot, or instead of a dot temp, it was just star. I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to do that right now. All right. If this live stream crashes, I YOLO too hard. Have you been rate limited on the $200 plan? To be honest, I haven't, because I've been hopping around all of them. I have like $1,000 a month worth of AI stuff, right? Like, got the Cursor Ultra plan, $200. At one point for one of the live streams, I did Grok, so that was $300. I did $200 for the ChatGPT thing, Pro, which I still have, like Claude Code, you name them, pretty much I have them all, right? And part of the reason is because of the people who currently support the channel, really, like that's kind of the biggest reason, right? So a lot of people want to code with me live, and I do appreciate the support. So anyone who's been able to like join the Discord in the live stream, like there's a URL, rfer.me/discord. So if you want to check that out, you're welcome to join. That actually goes to supporting the channel. Like it's been super helpful for all the people who've been joining in, kind of hanging out and building with each other and stuff like that. And so that goes directly to funding this whole venture. So this has been pretty nice. And so I have been hopping around and trying literally all of the different coding agents as much as possible. And so a lot of my stuff has been really spread out all over the place. And I think I have hit limits with Opus and stuff, which has been a pain in the ass. The latest stuff that's kicked in just barely allows you to use almost 1 million tokens in Opus, like barely. And then you hit your weekly limit. And you're like, bro, that's such a slap in the face for like the $200 a month thing. So that's Opus. But 4.5 and the other models, you're pretty much fine and so forth. But then, with GPT-5 Codex, it's too good. And then I switch over to Ultra. And then if you're using GPT-5 and Ultra, it's so cheap. and then Droid comes along and he used GPT-5 there, and then like it just keeps like, you know, you just cycle between all of them, and I think that's kind of really how it's working. So, is it still blurry, by the way? Oh, okay, never mind. That was an older stream. The comment, yeah, that's what's up. Let me get to some of the comments I'm still missing. So adding Sentry to app gives you really strong. Oh, I need to do this, Lisa. Thank you for the reminder, by the way. Now that I'm actually going to turn this into like a real product, I think this is a really good time to add Sentry. I'll have to hit you up in the Discord. My wife, who shares my office with me, wishes I never found super. Let's go. So you're just like yapping all the time. Like, no, don't do that. Not dangerously change permit. No. Lisa, I'd love a recording of you just like yapping, and then your wife just kind of looking at you, but like, are you okay? Like, you're yelling at your computer. Y'all, I mean, I get rate limited on Claude every 6 days. Okay, how many accounts do y'all have? All right, okay. There's a couple different things going on here. I started this funny app. I might have to bring it back up. It's called the AI Anonymous. Because there are people I heard who have these sleeper accounts. And when I say sleeper accounts, that on a different credit card, their wife doesn't know about it, but they got the regular account saying, hey, I'm spending $200 a month. And the wife is like, bro, last month you spent $2,000 like on Cursor, on GPT, like watching all of Ray's videos, spending all that money. Like, I want this purse, and you told me no, it's only like $300, and you're spending $2,000 and you're not even shipping your apps, bro. Like, let's get real here. So I've heard of some people, I'm not going to name any names, that's why it's called the AI Anonymous, that they got these secret credit cards that they opened up. Like, their wife has no clue about it, where they're running all their subscriptions through them as a business because they're not trying to get caught up. Don't be trying to out yourself right now. But if you want to out yourself, you're more than welcome to, because sometimes admitting is the first step to moving forward in your life, if you know what I mean. Saying, I'm that guy. I need to kind of settle down a little bit. I'm trying to figure out what's my main thing. By the way, it's also a good idea, like I'm doing. Every night I spend like 10 minutes reading through some type of documentation, like Tailwind v4, ShadCN documentation, anything that can help me put together these pieces to better understand how the software works. Because then it becomes really fun, especially with Cursor, because the Cursor tab model for actually writing the code is phenomenal. It steps through code extremely fast. It almost feels like you're an agent yourself coding. So that's what's kind of fun about it, because you're more intentional that way. And that's probably, I think, where people are kind of going with this. So that's what's up. Now you mentioned, let me check my I spent $600 months. I have a problem. I miss my non-existing kids' birthdays. Yo, Tyler, also with that anonymous handle at the end, right? Try not to like get caught up. That's a really smart move. I built a personal assistant using Claude Agent SDK, Claude Code SDK. It uses my pro subscription, will smash through my usage limit in a research session. That's exactly it. So that's also what's happening sometimes. Sometimes I've been using those tokens. Also, some people have been getting banned from Claude. Literally just straight up banned because they try to like use the tokens for some other apps and it just didn't use it in the way that they agreed. And they're just like, so I always caution people who kind of have that type of thing going on. So that's what's up. $200 a month is for six. Yeah, if you're getting paid, if you're getting the bag right now, for sure. Like $200 a month is easy. As long as I'm making money, my life is good. Yup. I know we've gone too far when Claude swears back. Hey, sassy Claude. Let's go. Okay, did we ship this feature already? So now we ship the server pipeline. So now it re-encodes the Gemini outputs to be optimized to WebP, and the detailed UIs lean on the store dimensions with the progress log capturing the current state. Let's cook. So now the generate adds a use node property. So this is going to be using node. This is cool. So this is what's going to run node on the server here for us. Let me just kind of inspect the code real quick. All right. So now in Convex, it's going to run the generate image thing, and it's going to now have this set the WebP to quality 80. Okay. Okay. Failed to transcode. Okay, cool. That's awesome. And falling back to the original buffer while recording accurate with height. Records a new runtime dependency. Okay. Packet. Okay. And swap the model hero images to be persisted with the original height, keeping the blur placeholders and containing the responsive styles so that next image emits tighter variance. I love this. All right, so now we have the documentation also up to date, which is great. So this gives us a snapshot of logs the latest implementation steps, Vercel pricing, context, and remaining follow-ups features. So they have not run the build failure stuff. So this is where I'm going to run that now, and we're going to make sure that this works. So let's see, run build. This should technically work. I'm going to stage the changes now, and we're going to check this out. So, hi Ray, if you only had $20, which AI would you subscribe to? I think the only AI I would subscribe to right now, if you only had $200, is to go find a job to get you that extra $20, do Cursor, and do Codex, like ChatGPT's thing. The GPT-5 is absolutely bonkers right now. Like the value you get for GPT-5 high, GPT-5 regular, and GPT-5 anything, even the Codex model, just that the regular default is so good. And I think that's kind of worth looking into. ChatGPT Pro has a lot of features in general. So you're going to get a lot of other extra stuff like ChatGPT on the web and like Pulse and every other different thing that comes out. So that by itself is already lots of value. The Cursor $20 a month plan basically gets you inside of Cursor, getting you to use these types of things. I think as far as like frontier models, so you have the frontier model, like the best, coding agents there, along with Cursor's like interactive mode. And then if you're already starting to learn how to code, really start to use that tab to code feature, because you're going to have a lot of really nice fluidity with that. And then you can reserve your Codex runs to maybe do some planning and so forth, right? To like have it do planning runs, have it do research runs. I mean, AI is really good at going to grab documentation like it's doing right now, teaching me about these things. I use ChatGPT on the web as well to do research. So it plays so nicely with the entire environment and the ecosystem. So that's kind of what I would look at there. He said, get that job, bro. Yeah, first get that job, bro. To get more subscriptions, bro. Like that's the addiction cycle. So do some of you have multiple Anthropic accounts to use multiple? Yes. There are several people in my Discord who have like 3. I'm like, y'all are like trillion tokens a month in my. Don't forget ChatGPT Plus. You get unlimited use on the web chat and sometimes switch on here to hard problems. Yeah, I think it's like, yeah, definitely, for sure. So what do we have here? The type error for placeholder does not exist. Okay. All right, so let's go take a look at this real quick. So why is it complaining about this? So the URL, okay, where's it getting called from? It should be blur data URL. Okay, why? Let me see, blur. I'm gonna search this up real quick. Blur data URL. So I have a placeholder blur data URL. Okay. So it's funny, the auto suggest is suggesting that, but then where am I blur? So I have placeholder blur data URL. Okay. Okay, so all images comes from here. So it's URL is ID and then is featured, and it has this little array, and then the safe selected index, and then dot place. So there's no property on this, right? So, oops. So I just have to define what this property type is. So probably add a placeholder thing for it. Let's see. Image placeholder. Okay, cool. Yeah, this should be easily fixable by the model. Okay, awesome. So let me just check these changes in so far and then kind of move forward here. I always like to check the changes in that we get, because they're so far so good. Let's go back here. Fix the bit. Okay, so I think we have there. Cool. So I'm going to let it do its thing. It should just basically define what this is for all images, and kind of so that it can actually use that there. So all images comes from this. So it should be able to return something where it has a place. Let's see, what's it doing now? Yeah. So yeah, now it adds the undefined. So basically we're just going to say if it doesn't have defined, it's going to just define it there. Yep. Okay, cool. So now I should be able to rerun the build. Testing, not rerun. Okay. So one of my favorite things about when I use it inside of Cursor is Cursor already does this type of linting check in the background and then reruns the build and then kind of fixes it itself in a second loop or in a second tool call. And so that's the only difference here between like running Codex in the actual plugin versus kind of what we're seeing here. So I'm going to commit, sync the changes. So now technically, if I just run all of my builds and everything, I'm going to go just, let's see, Next.js Convex dev. Theoretically, Convex should be cool with this, right? I don't know if it's not. Analyzing source. Okay, so the bad request, hidden error pushing, failed to parse URL. There is something going on here because of maybe the use node directive, I think. So in the following, why would it do that? Okay. So yeah, I'm really curious now. So okay. I run please search to use ref and exit MCP to help me understand why this broke. In our latest changes, is it dealing with use node? I'm just curious. Okay. Probably. I'm really hoping so. I feel like there's a lot of hype right now, and rightfully so, but they got to drop the model before Grok does. Because if they drop the model and it's still so fire, and then Grok drops their models and their models aren't as good, Gemini is just really going to be king. If the model is just okay, and then Codex or OpenAI releases an update that's even better, then Gemini would be like, it's a weird game right now. And maybe they're all kind of playing this chicken game of like, if we just do one more task for one more week, is it then going to beat everyone else's check marks? But to be honest, I think, like, speaking as like a sportscaster right now, if I was Gemini, I would drop this thing as soon as possible, right? Like this coming Tuesday, drop it. Let people play with it because you want to start taking these headlines. And then if Grok comes in, you just release an incremental update, whatever feature you're working on, you know? Oh, and then like just keep dropping. Gemini CLI, Gemini plugin in Cursor, right? Like every single day, like they're dropping stuff. We got this drop on Friday from OpenAI for Codex, the plugin. So it drops so fast, it's not even available inside of Cursor, right? I had to run this install command. I'm playing around with it because it's really good. If it's good, the devs are going to play with it. So Gemini, drop that thing fast. Like, don't be playing around and letting certain people play with it. Like, I can't even play with it correctly and like get it set up. Like, I need to get my hands on it and play with it because I'd love to use it every day. Seriously. I mean, if it's that good. If it's not that good, I'll tell you and then improve upon it and then make the next change. But you're transparent about it. I appreciate that more than just being like, oh, we think everything's perfect. It's like, bro, just go. I also understand that it's not engineering based sometimes. There's also major business decisions / money on the line. When you have like hundreds of millions of dollars, now trillions of dollars of funding that are going to be like lining up to do certain things, you have to get all these different check marks right. The right VCs lined up, all these other different things that are going to be settled before. So a lot of these things are probably just held up by legal, really, you know, because there's a statistic now that whenever there's an announcement for a specific model update, 77 days later, they do a fundraising round. And it's been happening so consistently, they have this now mapped out. It's like 77 days is like the key number. So whenever like GPT-5 dropped, 77 days, but like, you know, at least, you know, there's going to be a funding round that's announcing. So like this is now a straight up business. And I'm just only playing with these models in real time. So I'm not here. I don't like, I'm not here to back anyone or whatever. I'm just here to just look at this and ship my apps and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Just used the beast this morning. It solved an issue it wasn't able to solve for a week. So you were able to use the CLI or the plugin for Codex. That'd be really cool. Yeah. Gemini said it would be super good UI. That would be so fire if it is. The thing it needs to be good as AI tool at tool calling. Yep. Yeah. It was good at coding, but not, the tool calling is actually really, really essential. So the Perplexity MCP for me takes up way too much like context window and is extremely inefficient. So that's why I've landed on useRef and Exa. And so those together barely use up any tokens comparatively, but then they give you a lot of output here. So the runtime error came from this. It's trying to fetch its bundled WebAssembly with a bare var task path. Because convex actions run in Node and fetch can't handle this plain file pass, the WebP transcode blew up. That makes more sense. So Convex-generate now runs under use node with a FS promises fallback with this type of thing. So the action proceeds to re-encode. Okay, but the WebAssembly fetch no longer crashes. So what did they change here? What did they change? What did they change? What did they change? I just want to see this code here. This is fancy. Damn, did y'all know we were going to get this fancy? So it's now going to read file using node FS promises, file to URL path. So we can run this in Convex. Okay. I wonder if we should run this somewhere else. File starts with data. Is not assignable. Interesting. Yeah. Let's see. Bunx convex dev. I'm just going to give it the output. Yeah, because this fails to build because it doesn't know what data shape this is. Okay. Yes. So still the same thing. Still getting this. And then run build. And then that way we'll get the build error for this. That's interesting. Add the new fast context thing. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I think that's really cool for large code bases. Let's see. So now we have this here. And I'm going to get this here. So as far as context 7, I've also found context 7 to be like hit or miss. And a lot of times, especially when I was like bringing up something that I feel is pretty fast and simple, like Clerk, it would always grab the older documentation or prefer the older stuff in the training set. And so I just got so inconsistent with context 7. Granted, I haven't tried in the last like month and a half or so. And so that's one thing. And then like the other thing too is I noticed it would consume a lot of tokens, and maybe this has changed since then. And I should probably give it another try. But for grabbing the documentation, it wasn't as efficient, token efficient. And that's actually kind of what I care most is like token efficiency. So use ref or ref.tools will actually go and like kind of look at the efficiency and like they have their own search filtering and everything that they're doing, and they're not relying on the AI language model to do that. So whenever you rely on the AI language model to do that, that's what fills up the context. So this MCP tool basically does that on its own like servers and types of things, and then feeds back exactly what the language model needs for that request. And then you can combine that with Exa AI to go do like a code search, and then it becomes even way more targeted and much more precise there. So the two combined work really well. And we actually saw it kind of being used up here. So you used Exa for this specific thing. So it searched for the documentation for convex and grabbed that back the results, and then also went back to grab, learn more about the runtime. So I didn't have to like explicitly tell it all these different types of things. It's doing it on its own behalf, which is kind of what I like about it. And then it's actually now investigating like the specific, library as well using Exa. So Exa code search is really, really fast. And then sending those types of errors back to it. So this is pretty cool. And this is kind of why it's working there so well. So let's see, fixing the node buffer, making sure to convert Node.js buffer data into a UNT8 array before wrapping. Oh, since buffer extends the array, but type definitions cause issues, I'll update the both relevant code spots. Man, this is crazy. So we're literally having like this image pipeline thing that's going to work. It'd be really funny if there's like already a plugin for this inside of Convex that I just never really searched out. It's like, yeah, this is already done for you, Ray. I guess I could also have looked into like Cloudflare's thing, because I know Cloudflare does already a lot of like image type of things there too. But yeah, would just like to keep everything in house in just like one place, if you know what I mean. So yeah, there's that there. Sorry, let's see what's going on. This is just going to keep coding. Bro, can you help me for my student startup as a mentor? I would love to, but the whole problem is that I don't have enough time. And I think there are a lot of other people who are in the community that would probably like to help as well. So just go ahead and ask around. And I think if you're just getting started out, you have a lot of time, but you don't have a lot of like, money or resources or any other types of things. So a lot of time when you're like asking for help, it tends to be a burden on a lot of people, because if they're really successful, they tend to be extremely busy. And so you'll find some people to be able to do some mentorships, but they have really small amounts of time. And so that's the kind of the catch. And so if you ever watch anything like from Gary Vee or some of these other like entrepreneurs, a lot of times they basically advise people like you to go like find a skill that you're really good at, have lots of value, just start giving lots of value to really resourceful people. So people who are well connected or very resourceful can actually help you get along. So a lot of the times you're doing that anyways, because you need to build the skill. So that's kind of what I did when getting started out, right? I didn't know any coding. I didn't know the various things. I had a lot of background in tech. I'd always fix computers. So I would just go to people's houses and fix their computers. And then they have a friend that fixes computers. Oh, and this person runs a business and has friends that fix computers. So like, that's how you get kind of passed around. You helping these people, you eventually get some money. And then as you keep learning, because you're going to be learning every single day because you have a lot of time, you can start offering value. Like, hey, I can make an app for you. I just use Gemini CLI. And all these images you're getting, I can actually turn them into documents that people can do like this, basically a version of PDF sign or whatever it is, right? And then you can set up a Stripe link or Polar link and start collecting money. And like you start building value for these people's companies, then your free whatever you're doing turns into something extremely useful that, because you have time, you can do this every day, is kind of what I would actually advise as far as getting started. I know a lot of people want to get started, but people aren't just going to really force feed anything to you, even if they're like a loved family member, because busy people just don't have a lot of time. So learn more about that and do some research in terms of like you don't even have to go on the web, just go talk to people in person. Literally go to your local businesses and start talking to them. What problems they have, what's the one that's most painful that you want to try to solve, and then just go from there. I think that will take you a very long way to get started for sure. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what's going on here. The Convex was still failing because of this. Okay. With that in place, Convex node runtime can satisfy the WebAssembly loads. Can Convex even do this right now? That'd be fire if it does. So it still fails in sandbox because TurboPack can't bind a higher operation permitted. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Can I still run this? Is it working now? It theoretically should work. So what did we do? Did we do something down here in code? Yeah, I thought so. I really thought so. Bun run build. Okay. I think we're going to have to tell it to try to do a different approach or change the GPT-5 high to kind of rethink this whole plan, because as of now, this is not really working too well, but I want to, oh, it does build. It does build. Okay. Let me check these code changes in real quick. Just double checking to see what we did. So we have this file read, and then I think it's convex. Let's see, fall through the original fetch. And then we do a global bind. So I think this is kind of where my problem is starting to run into. So we get the base 64, we turn it into a binary string, and then we do the length, we get the array buffer, and then we do this conversion to turn it into bytes. Convex compatible. I have a feeling that this is not really compatible, actually. We'll see. Commit, sync changes. I don't think it's that compatible. So why does it invalid modules, hidden error while pushing, error, var task? I think we're still doing this type of, is it var? I think that's probably what it is. I don't think we're allowed to write that into Convex. Hopefully it builds. Does it build? No. Yeah, I don't think, and we might have to try a different approach. Cancel, let's see. I'm really curious now. Dang, we got pretty far with this. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is open up another window. So please update the documentation folder. Let's see, our plan is, with WebP, WebP progress, and WebP spec, as we are going to have to create a new chat to debug this issue. We are almost there, but we'll have to explore alternatives. Okay. So I'm just basically just going to tell it to update these types of things, and then kind of go see if I can do some, like, create a new chat with GPT-5 High. This is a really good time where I want to switch to the high model now and want to see if I can do some research. And so I might do like two chats in parallel. Like one is high, one is maybe medium or low, or just Codex as well. Sometimes just refreshing the context window here will actually just help it out, because we're just going to purge all the existing information and then only keep what's really relevant. So I think what's happening is this possibly trying to anchor itself. It's like, the user really wants to do this, so I'm going to make everything done as possible. But one approach is maybe saying, like, instead of doing that library, why don't we just run it, on a Next.js route handler? And that way you can just do the processing and spin up a node thing, as part of a route handler inside of, Vercel, and then send that back over to Convex. That's a possibility, right? Because that way it'll just be running. And, if wherever Convex is at, it should be kind of near that server anyways. And yeah, we'll just kind of have to evaluate different options, because there's just a lot of different ways that this can go out. So, added a status node in here. So yeah, for anyone who's kind of wondering, like, I have this app called AnimeLeak. This is kind of what we're doing right now. So we're basically now going to make this sort of production ready by optimizing the images. So instead of 3 megabytes of images kind of loading for the first time for everyone, which will eat up a lot of my cost, I'm going to try to basically do some compression in the background. And like what we did with Codex is generate this big old compression plan. So it's like the multi-step plan, so that when the server, it would just do this processing. Once the images are loaded, we get that image back down from Google. We're going to do one more transformational step. So instead of storing like a megabyte image in my server, I would just store the compressed version, which could be like 300 kilobytes or something like that, and then store that in Convex. And then that way, whenever users are requesting stuff, it'll be really, really fast and always display everything as quickly as possible, because usually that's what people need anyways. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. And what we've done so far is we've been able to pull the changes from Codex in the cloud onto the device, and the device currently is my Mac running Cursor, and I have the Codex plugin. And so we've been iterating and going through some of those changes. And now we're at a stage where, like, hey, we let the language model go this far, and we're running into a bunch of bugs because of a code path we thought would work, which is basically saying, why don't we just run some of these WebAssembly transformations on Convex's, node environments? And they have their own node environments, and it doesn't maybe run like a typical node environment that we're thinking. I just don't know a lot about this specific realm, so I'm really heavily relying on the AI to do this. And so I think this is a really good time for us to kind of branch the conversation and start into like a new chat. That way, all the feature work that we've done is shipped is kind of out of the way, because as you can see, we're basically now approaching this context window that's almost 50% at the bottom. So we're at 51%, and that's usually my marker for branching away. And so now I'm basically just making sure that these documentation steps are already like documented for us. This is kind of what we're doing. And you can kind of see in the spec plan here, it's actually showing us for phase 3 generated asset metadata. So we're just trying to make sure that at this step of the way, that we're able to kind of make sure that we're going to resolve this issue. So added in this type of thing. So phase 3 calls out the current blocker. Okay, so just going to continue this conversation now anew. So let's go ahead and start a new chat in Codex. And I'm going to run this locally, and then GPT-5 Codex. I'm going to try... I'm just going to try the default, to be honest, because I think this is all we need. I want you to review the... I'm currently working on the following bug where this is the last status update. So it's added a note on the documentation. Okay. 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 Status update. Okay. And Solar Relay. Okay. I want you to use ref and exa MCP to help me with this debugging. Let's see, I think the issue is that I don't think this actually supports, let's see, issue is, I don't think this is, I think this is actually supported in Convex the way we are doing it. It is possible we'll have to use a route handler for this because we're deploying on Vercel. There should also be some other alternatives that we can do because once we get the image back from Google, there must be other ways to do this type of transformation that can play well. And I want you to look up some of the recommended things that Convex recommends for image processing. Okay. So let me just go ahead and basically send it this research task here. So in Medium. Okay. Cool. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So planning use of reference and examples, explored files. So now it's taking a look at all my different files. Okay, cool. So this is a totally fresh session. And then now it's basically doing an exa search for image processing approach. Cool. That's awesome. All right. I hate placeholders thanks to AI coding agents. It depends. Yeah. Broken. Okay, I think we're talking about that. I found myself using GPT-5 on Cursor over Claude Code for tougher tasks. Yeah, Cursor one is really, really good. And I'm just trying the Codex plugin right now because this just came out. And, you know, is it as good as Cursor? I think that like right now from just using it in general, I find that like Cursor's one is much better because of its ability to do this linting back loop and do this extra stuff. And I also find that Cursor one just runs really, really fast. Is it as thorough? I really don't know yet. The other thing that I like about Codex, the plugin versus the Cursor's agent, is this background mode. So we ran 4 different versions in the background of my plan, and it ran for like 15 minutes. And then we're able to select one and kind of apply it locally. You can only do that, right? You can technically do that in Cursor, but the interface doesn't really kick off as cleanly as I thought it would to select multiple background agents inside of the Cursor IDE when I was able to select the background. So I think they just have some user interface stuff to fix with Cursor, and I think that'll make it to be really, really good. The other part of it is that obviously if you have a ChatGPT Pro account, you know, a lot of this usage stuff is actually included in your plan. So you're not having to pay extra, whereas Cursor, you're having to pay extra for those background usage tokens. So anything you're doing in the background tasks will cost you more. So even though you're running the same request 4 different times, you know, that's going to cost you some more. It's going to also cost you usage. And so I like to stick with GPT-5 Codex Medium. So that's what's up. Yeah. What's the best plan mode for you so far? So the best plan mode for me so far has been Cursor's plan mode. Cursor's plan mode is really, really good, and I like it a lot. I'm very tempted to go take this specific bug and then continue it over in plan mode. Because if this doesn't work, then I'm going to try plan mode in Cursor, and we're going to see it cook, and we're going to probably even use GPT-5 Codex, and we'll see if it actually solves the issue. And if it doesn't, we'll try GPT-5 High. I do find that the stuff in Cursor runs really, really fast. And so now we're actually seeing come back with the research results. So let's go ahead and see if we can catch up with that. So what's the name of the theme? It's actually Xcode theme. It's my favorite. Yeah. So Convex docs for actions and runtimes explain that heavy processing or node packages like Sharp, the bundles must run inside a node action, adding the use node directive. Okay. That runtime's 512 megabytes memory. So the bundling notes warns that libraries with dynamic WebAssembly or native, like such as these ones, often break in the default Convex runtime. I thought so. When Convex can't bundle them cleanly, you either need to move them to a node action with external packages or run them elsewhere, like a route handler. Yeah. So the HTTP actions stay in the lightweight Convex runtime and cap requests bodies at 20 megabytes. See, I really like this approach. And this actually makes a lot of sense. So they can orchestrate storage, but aren't meant for CPU heavy conversions unless you move forward with an action that runs a node. So file storage docs show 2 supported patterns: generate upload URL mutations, fetch, transform, store entirely in an action. In both cases, you would persist the storage ID, or direct HTTP serving. So Discord matches above with Sharp, mark it as external packages when you need it in Convex, and transforms on pair Convex storage with an external CDN, such as Cloudflare. I see. So for plus images. So the community says to use a node action with Sharp, mark it with external packages when you need it in Convex transforms, or pair Convex storage with external image CDN. Okay. So we have a couple of options. Keep the work in Convex, more encoding to a detailed dedicated node one, which I don't think is would be useful. Offload the Next.js app to a Vercel route handler that runs a Sharp squoosh into Vercel's node runtime. Then push the encoded bytes back to Convex storage via storage store. So that could be useful because now I basically have a dedicated server process that will just grab this converted image and then do the conversion and send it back over to Convex for that specific IDE. Put a CDN in front, store the original Convex Cloudflare R2, and then rely on Cloudflare Images Kit for WebP variants. Convex just tracks the storage IDs and the sign URLs. To be honest, this one sounds really amazing because a lot of the work is abstracted. And now I kind of want to figure out what's the cost for option number 3, right? And then, I don't know, like, yeah, because I feel the whole part of this is like if users are uploading like megabytes of images and we're doing all these fetches and then displaying galleries or doing various things for their stuff, if they're sharing it across like Twitter and then Twitter shows it to like 1 million people, that's going to be hitting me, right? That's going to just be eating up tons of like 1 megabyte times 1 million is crazy, right? So, and that's a lot of money to be paying. And I want to get one image that's really tiny, that's cached somewhere, and they just keep feeding it to wherever you are on the edge. So if I'm in, Palo Alto or something, and I look up my app, and somebody's showing me a shared image, or I'm scrolling through Twitter, I'm grabbing a cache of whatever is in that local neighborhood. And that's already been done by Cloudflare or some other company, right? I don't want to have to go fetch back to the origin and pay all that fee for the data to be delivered, as fast as possible. So that's kind of the conundrum here. And this is kind of why it's really important to kind of think through these things. Because this is like, servers are kind of new to me as far as like my whole perspective in engineering, but it's still like an engineering problem, right? You have to think about all the different factors that are involved. As I keep kind of going down this rabbit hole, there's more and more to find out. But once we find it out, that's where the key is here, which makes sense why a lot of people don't have a lot of these apps that are public, or like if they're not going, while they may go viral. I think that's what happens. One app will go viral and they have no clue how to like optimize all the images. And it's a whole, like, I'm kind of respecting people who make these apps and they do it very well, because like you can't just one shot vibe code it unless you know exactly all the different steps that are involved in this whole process. And I think that's what's really nice about this, is that I'm learning from this process, and hopefully maybe you're picking up some tidbits too, but don't be afraid. I feel like just be very curious and ask more questions, right? To help you unveil this whole process. And hopefully you're picking something up from this whole thing. So this is pretty cool. So I want to learn more about this. So teach me more about this. Tell me more about this, about option 3, and how much the cost would be in Cloudflare R2 compared to what we are doing now with Vercel. Okay. With our pipe. Okay. runs on Vercel. Okay. All right, cool. So this is kind of what I need to find out because I don't really know too much about this. And if it doesn't do anything, I'll have to like tell it to use, okay, so yeah, it's using the XMPP. Cool. Awesome. I really like this so much. So let's see. Cloud Code, factory or Codex is the question. I found switching can cause issues with the project, so possible skill issues. It just, yeah, it depends. Like if you have a plan from one and try to shove it into the other, sometimes it's not really that happy about it. And you get varying results too. So that's kind of the other thing about and I think a lot of it really comes to context priming. So in one single conversation in the chat, how much information has the LLM pulled out of it? And then how much can it continue to pull relevant files for the task that you're trying to accomplish? So yeah. Repo prompt boss. Surprised nobody mainstream uses this tool. It allows you to fix exactly the bugs you're running into. Context. So yes, I think repo prompt is a really great one for this type of thing too, because I can ask it specifically for the parts of the code that are relevant for here. And his uses context builder and actually use ChatGPT-5 Pro with his latest update. So that could be a really cool task that we can get into. The other thing is that GPT-5 Pro is really slow, but it could be worth it here if we're not getting the results that we're getting. So let's take a look and see what it's coming up with. A lot of this really is kind of turned into a research task. And I don't think, I've not seen many people talk about this problem publicly because there aren't many resources. There are resources, but they're all over the place. And to me, I always learn best when I actually want to apply them to an app that I'm working on. So that's kind of how I anchor a lot of my knowledge. And so hopefully this is useful for you. And I'm going to try to read this here so that we can learn together. So Cloudflare Flow allows you to store the images on R2, which is S3 compatible and zero egress. So you just pay to put the images in, but you don't pay to actually to show them to people, which is cool. So they trigger Cloudflare images to generate WP on other variants on demand. Oh, that's fancy. And serve Cloudflare CDN. Convex just persists the R2 object keys per the Convex team's own R2 images recommendation. Fire. Okay. So you hook into the R2 from Convex with a Cloudflare R2 component. Okay. And then use the images transformations endpoint so you only manage masters and let the Cloudflare handle the caching, resizing, and format negotiation. I like this a lot. So one of the things that it could possibly do is set me up to be mobile ready. So if I want to release a mobile app and then I want this to be available everywhere, I can have it just hit Cloudflare's thing and Cloudflare is going to figure out what size of the devices and everything like that. This is interesting. Okay. So the cost model. So to store images, it's basically 1 cent, 1.5 cents per month per gigabyte with 10 gigabyte free. Wait, hold up. For real? Like, this is not a scam. Like, this is, they're not going to serve me ads and stuff in the middle of my images. Like, so Class A has a put list in operations of $4.5 per million with a get of 36 cents per million and still zero egress fees. Okay. I don't know what Class A is, but we'll figure that out. Cloudflare images. So the first 5,000 unique transformations per month are free. This is where they get you. Beyond that, it's 50 cents per 1,000 transformations with the optional storage of $5 per 100K originals and a delivery of $1 per 100K request fees if you choose to store that inside of images store inside of images instead of R2. Okay, so there's R2 storage, which is here, and then there's Cloudflare images. Got it. So what they're saying up here now, okay, these are different product names that I'm just not familiar with. And that's kind of where I'm a little confused because there's R2 storage and then Cloudflare images. And so what they're saying up here now that I have a little more context is that R2 plus images recommendation. So that's this and this, these two together. Okay. So hook R2 Convex with Cloudflare R2 component. So this would just be like storing it, and then this would be transforming the images to whatever size we need. So like I get the image back from Google and do a transformation, but I don't necessarily have to do the transformation. I just get the image back from Google and just store it in R2. And then the transformation will be done depending on the device or whatever I'm receiving. Interesting. Okay. So here's the monthly spend. If there's 1,000 uploads a month at 5 megabytes each, 3 WP renditions per image. So that's about, R2 will have 5 gigabytes stored. That's 7 cents storage plus less than a cent operation. Images for 3,000 unique transforms are still inside the free quota. So the net is like 8 cents a month. I like this. The scenario is 20,000 uploads a month, which is, yeah, probably app starting to not go viral yet, but of decent size. It's still about, that's amazing. So you get 60,000 transforms, 55K billable. So that's $30 a month. So net $30 a month for 20K uploads, and it's 3 transformations. So if you rely on Next.js image optimization, pricing now changes per transformation too. So that's $5,000 for free, then roughly 5 to 8 cents per 1,000 per region dependent. And that same 60,000 transform workload is $2.75 per month or $4.45. So it's cheaper than Cloudflare images at high volume. Oh, interesting. However, if you run a bespoke image encoding in Vercel serverless route handler, you also pay for active CPU time and provision memory once you exceed the included quota. So the hobby has 4 CPU hours, 360 hours, and the pro scales via regional rates. So heavy encoders can burn through CPU images quickly and still dump into Vercel's execution runtime limits. Operationally, Cloudflare shifts all the encoding off your Vercel functions and avoids WebAssembly on Convex blocker altogether at the expense of higher per transform costs at a 5K fee. So it makes sense if you want a low friction generation on Convex that can call without WebAssembly gymnastics. Expect to stay near the free tier or value 0 egress. If the transformation volume grows, Vercel's native image stays cheaper per variant, but you still need a Vercel side encoder unless you cleanly adopt next image. Okay, I think I want to do this. This makes more sense. Model your real upload variant counts against both pricing sheets. Spike R2 images flow in a convex action to conform latency and auth story. If costs are a sticking point, consider keep next hybrid image for common sizes and offload specialty versions to Cloudflare. Okay, cool. So this is a great plan. Thank you for all this wonderful research, but I think we should stay with the Vercel thing because that seems to make sense for the longer term. And that way we can keep our infrastructure simple and debuggable. And so I want to go ahead and proceed with that and cleanly adopt the next image stuff as well. What I also want you to do is to help me understand the workflow here and cleanly map out all the files and things that need to be changed so that we can work on this project. So we can fix the current implement so that processing isn't on Convex. Oh, yeah. Okay. And so I think that's all we need here. So let it go. So that's 61,000 tokens we've used so far. Okay, that's cool. All right, cool. Sorry if this hasn't been asked, but are you convinced this Codex plugin is more the way to go than Cursor's own, or are you still switching back and forth? Right now, I've just been sticking with Codex as much as I want to grab Cursor's plugin or Cursor's agent. Just sticking inside of the Codex plugin so far. Like, can I get away just using this instead of Cursor's thing? And so far, it's working so far. It does require a little bit of extra gymnastics. Personally, I think both kind of work in their own ways, but I'm kind of wanting to lean on Codex's like cloud capabilities because you can kind of pull those types of things into your app super quickly. And then for like these refinement tasks or anything like that, if I were to do this type of request in Cursor, it would, I mean, like, to be honest, they've improved the speed a lot here. This is kind of really what I wanted to see. It's like, as I'm asking research questions, this used to take a very long time in Codex, and now it's a lot faster. I mean, it's doing all these different reads and processing and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think for me, I'm always going to default back to Cursor, but I'm still also trying to play around with this and see if there's any other limits that we may not be able to hit here. So this is a really good look at it. Is extension better than Codex CLI? I think they're different. I like the GUIs because you can manipulate things or drag text or images in. But if you're totally in the CLI, I mean, I feel like you know who you are. So hover the model check mark and select plus if you want to select multiple models. Oh, that's how you do it in the cursor thing. So we have to go here and we have to go over, bruh, here? No, wait. That doesn't work, bro. I don't see it, bro. I don't see it. I believe you, but I think there's a bug in my app. Yeah, the extension allows for integration of the Codex web outcomes. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So that's the integration. That's the difference between the extension and CLI is the web outcomes. That's right. Which is better for spec research and planning, cursor plan mode, or Droid CLI. You know what's funny? It's actually going to surprise you. I actually find Cursor's plan mode to be really, really good now. Like, quite good. And so I would definitely check that out if you had a chance to. Ray Cursor versus Windsurf versus Droid. I need to check out Windsurf again. I haven't played around with it recently, so I need to download the latest update. They've gone through a lot of stuff, so it sounds like they've been changing a lot of things, and I definitely want to give it a second look, especially with this new context stuff, which could be, you know, pretty interesting there. Yeah, cool. Let's see, what is this spam stuff here? So Ray, explore Cloudflare. It's the bomb. It's cheap. It's cheap to a certain point, right? There's a certain part of like vendor lock-in that they kind of get you to, but I don't mind it. I think it's just about like usability. I actually have my blog on Cloudflare and I have like some videos and stuff that are stored on Cloudflare. But in this case, it sounds like if my app really goes viral, I think the Vercel thing is kind of be what pays off in the longer run, which I found interesting. Starting a brand new project from start to finish, which is your go-to from start to finish? My go-to stack right now is basically Next.js, Tailwind, CSS v4, Shad Sienna, obviously for all the stuff that you need to build off, Clerk for authentication, Convex for the backend. I actually have a whole starter kit. I love Polar.sh for payments. Amazing. Polar.sh. Definitely check that out. All right. So that's kind of what I would start out with. I think I still have my starter kits. https:/rfer.me/starter. I think that's the kit. I don't know. Don't at me on this. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find it. rfer.me/starter. Okay. I think that's what it is. Yeah. So this is the one that I grabbed from somebody I found online. His name is Arteem. I have a whole live stream with him. He's amazing. And I was like, bro, this guy made the kit as I was actually going to talk about it. And this starter kit is really, really cool because this kid kind of went to work and introduced folks to this specific kit. I forget what it's called, but all of this is already composed for you. You have a starter kit. You can sign in with Clerk. You have a dashboard. You have these charts. You can build everything right on top of this. It has the Stripe integration with Clerk, so you can just start building right away. Like you could just literally clone this, and like I have a video on my YouTube channel, and it walks you through how to get this set up step by step. But you have all my entire like this is my stack. Like this is exactly what I use with webhooks and everything. You can deploy, and you're basically up and running. Yeah, Framework, Recharts, React bits. It's got the whole thing. Yeah, Clerk, Turbo Pack. Yeah. This is like the way to do it. So yeah, it has all the steps here, but I also have a video explaining how to do this step by step. So you have this whole thing. And then in my version of the fork, I added like the rules files, and I fixed up a little bit of the details for how you would basically go through the implementation here. So that's kind of where we're at there. So yeah, where are we at now? So keep the client pre-processing. Introduce a Vercel route that runs under the Next.js node runtime sharp, accepts raw bytes. Update the convex generation actions to drop this, and instead call the Vercel route after the Gemini responds back. Record the encoder endpoint. Okay, so that can reach it. Perfect. So yes, this looks pretty good. Awesome. After the backend changes. Yeah, so this looks great. Be sure to do bun add, then package name. Instead of adding it in. So properly install the dependencies. And then the other one to for verifying the build, all you need to do is run bun x convex dev -s once, I think. I forget what the name of that command is. Bun x convex dev -h. Oh yeah, -s once. Okay, cool. It is -s once. So when you do bun x convex dev -s once, it'll actually just run once, and that allows the agents to see what the build failures are, because otherwise it'll just kind of stay hanging until I kill the process. And that's very helpful when you're doing like development yourself. But for agentic flows, you just want to see it run once and then that's it. And it kind of exits out. So that's very helpful for these agents. Verifying the changes, the build on a convex folder. Then for the general build, you run build. It's funny because I actually have these instructions in the agent, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't follow it. I think what else do we need to do? So there is no need to run. Okay. Okay, so once these places regenerate the types, let me know. Okay, let's go. All right, let's go. All right, cool. So now we're going to tell it to cook, fam. That's what's up. Cool. Man, we're totally cooking right now. All right. Drafting a multi-step plan. I was decided between Better Auth and Clerk, where I went with Better Auth. Yeah, I mean, Better Auth is great. A lot of people actually use that stack. The reason why I choose Clerk is for a couple of reasons. One is the like dashboard features and having all that stuff already available. And then two is like the IDs that I get from Clerk. So I don't have to store them in my own database, and I could just store IDs, you know, and say like, hey, give me the Clerk ID, and I do my own matching and stuff like that. I don't necessarily need people's emails in my own database. I'd rather just have it in a dashboard available for Clerk. And as far as like emails, you always have access to them. So like, as long as you're signed into Clerk, the only problem is when you get over like 25,000 users, then you start paying like 1 to 2 cents per user or something like that. I think it's 2 cents per every user after that. And so my goal is to, at the very beginning, always start charging for my apps. So by the time I get to 25,000 users, it's more than paid for itself. And every user I add on is totally worth it. The second part of it is emails. So you have to have your own email provider so that you can send people forgot email requests and other types of communication that deal around with this whole auth flow. So that's the other part of it. And I don't want to pay like Resend or someone to send a bunch of emails that are already included in type of Clerk's type of stack. So actually, a lot of my apps don't really have email built into them. I just have like the default, whatever it comes with. So with my Ray Transcribes app, I signed up for a thing called loops.so. So by the time I get 1,000 paying customers, I'm able to send like, you know, basic emails and email blasts to my existing subscribers saying, hey, I'm fixing this type of thing. I don't really send a lot of emails anyways, but like all the transactional emails are already handled with the different providers, either Polar or whatever. And then, you know, accessing their account via forgot passwords or anything like that, that's all handled via Clerk. And the other part of it is like these form fields that are filled out, Clerk already has all these different checks for like people inputting these invalid usernames and passwords, people who are trying to get in. That's all handled by Clerk. And I don't have to deal with that type of stuff, which I really do appreciate. And so one is like open source, which is cool. But then, you know, the community maintains it and that's fine. But I'd rather have like a company that's being paid YC money that's already doing a really good job and has all the security experts kind of constantly, you know, pushing updates and doing those types of features. And so if the basic needs of just authentication need to be met and I'm looking at these two platforms, I'm going to go with the one that has more features and this less things for me. And that tends to be Clerk. So that's kind of why it's ended up to being my favorite stack. Not sponsored, obviously, but I want to I actually do want to partner with them. And like, I'm in a lot of communication to try to like, I've been learning a lot about them. I've been using them so much and I really like them a lot. And a lot of people I've been working with have been using it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with this. So let's see, Blash, LC, bun, add sharp. Okay, so approve once. Let's see, considering permission escalation. I don't think it needs a permission to do this. Okay, cool. Okay. Oh yeah, now we're going to actually implement this feature. This is great. Awesome. Cool. So this is where we're at. Curious why Clerk, not Convex auth? Because Clerk is basically fully built out, kind of for similar reasons. And then adding a lot of other features in Clerk, like they just have a lot of other features for auth over Convex auth, and that's primarily the reason. You know, I think that in emails as well. I decided between better auth and Clerk, and I went with better. Oh yeah, that's right. For research and planning, when it comes to Factory AI, use the knowledge stored on their site. The CLI doesn't compare. Best features I've tried so far. You know what's funny? I've been spending so much time in the CLI. Like after my first live stream, like I was using a lot of the web, and then went to the CLI, and then I need to go back to the web and check that out, because yeah, like the instructions for the web researcher, I agree, are probably really amazing. Where's your next text video between Cursor and Windsurf? I should do that. That'll be fire. Yeah. That'll actually be really fun. If you guys want to see that, let me know. If you want to see like what specific comparison do you want to see? Like, are you dying to see right now? Are you using a certain app and you want to switch over? Also, I like to make these comparisons because sometimes this is something that I want to do. So I don't want to make the comparison just because, like, I'm not trying to get views or clicks, because that means I bring a lot of people to the channel that aren't about the same energy as us, right? Like, this is very special. Like the fact that y'all are tuning in with me right now on a Saturday, it's like almost noon time here in California, and you chose to spend time to me really means a lot, like seriously. And I just don't want to, oh my God, looks like my plants. Oh, my plant's falling. Yeah. I guess somebody's taking a look at my stuff. So I was like, I thought my plant was falling in the background. My bad. Anyways, like I could do this type of stuff, right? But if I like make clickbaity videos for apps I don't really use, like, then to me, it's not really worth the time investment, because am I going to go back to use it? Then I have a bunch of new users from those types of apps that I don't really use anyways. And they're going to be asking us lots of questions. And I don't know, like I'm kind of, I take my time, but I try stuff out like just for a first look. And if I like it beyond the first look, I'm going to keep using it. And then that's how I usually end up doing comparisons against it. So the reason why I'm even using Codex right now is because I like it a lot. And whenever there's an update, that's kind of where then I start to compare to my existing stuff that I'm using. So that's kind of how my comparisons generally play out. So yeah, I'm not going to, like, I haven't looked at Tray, right? Like I tried it and it's okay. And it's like, you know, Kiro or Kino or something like that, the one from Amazon, like I tried to get in and I was like restricted because I wasn't in some type of access list or something like that. I'm like, bro, you know, I've tried some other things and like I haven't even brought it up to the stream because I just didn't think that they fit my workflow yet, right? And when they do, I look at them again, and then when they're ready to like actually be compared, I kind of bring them on stream. So I don't want, it's almost a favor to you guys. Like I don't want to bring in a bunch of other random people, because like this community is really special to me. So I really appreciate everyone who's kind of showing up here on the weekends, chilling with me. So bun remove. Okay, I approve once. Okay. This is really cool. So yeah, that's what's up. It's a great stack. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that. The hands hard things for sure. Personally, I switched from Cursor to Windsurf. $15 is really good for the amount you can do. Let's look at that while we're waiting for this. I'm really curious now because Windsurf has made so many changes. I should probably download Windsurf. The Windsurf. Okay. Sipping on some Windsurf. It's a Cascade agent that fixes codes in 10 steps ahead. Tab ship. They don't even mention that new feature in their homepage, huh? They should put that new feature. One editor, unlimited superpowers. This is fancy. Okay. Oh, the page is lagging. Oh, this is nasty. Oh, Windsurf, don't vibe code your web page, please. Oh, I can't deal with this. Okay. Let's go to pricing. $15 a month. You get the 2-week trial, 500 prompt credits a month, a Sui 1 model, new proprietary premium model. I don't think they've changed this plan structure since they've gone over to Cognition, to be honest. And unlimited Sui. So all premium models. So I don't, 25 credits per month. Let's see how old am I? Windsurf. Let me just open the Windsurf app. I'm just curious to see how old my app is from Windsurf. Like, it's been so long. Hi, Windsurf. I'm at version 1.12. Oh. View changelog. Yeah. Oh, I guess it must be updating in the background. Okay. Hello, Windsurf, my old friend. I can't deal with you. There's so much drama. Oh, let's see. Okay, so it's downloading the update right now. So we have the Sui one. That's the one I was using last. There's a promo for Sonnet 4.5. Okay. And then low reasoning. Guys, is like, the only reason why I'm taking this seriously is because my boy File Reaper is a member right now. Because like, I would just think anyone else is trolling. But I'm curious, File Reaper, like, what model do you use in Windsurf? Like, would be really curious. And then like, what made you switch to Windsurf? Like, from what model? I'd be super curious as well, because I feel like that could be very helpful information. I also feel that like there is a context. Don't feel like there's a context window. I haven't needed to make a new chat due to context rot in Windsurf. I like that idea. I built the enterprise application to scale businesses. I'd be entering the brokerage arena. Businesses is steady between $4 to $8 million a year, aiming to scale. So what? I'll sub to Discord. Let's chat sometime. Yeah, man. Dude, hit me up in the Discord. I want to learn more about this. Like, I'm not a mortgage broker, but it sounds like there's a massive opportunity in this area. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask ChatGPT for some research about this. ChatGPT. This is why I love my friend ChatGPT. ChatGPT is cooking. So we're going to do thinking. We're going to do light think. I'm going to do heavy. And then I'm going to say this. I'm interested in researching enterprise applications to scale businesses, like specifically around the brokerage arena. It sounds like businesses are steady to $4 to $8 million a year, aiming to scale to 200 million. And I'm trying to figure out what are the best business opportunities, because I do a lot of AI coding, and it's possible that there's an overlap of really essential needs or high pain points that these customers are willing to pay for, and I could deliver lots of value. So I'm going to need you to do a lot of research and think hard on this task and present me with different opportunities. This could turn into our next $1 billion SaaS and we don't even know it, bro. So we're just going to let this cook, and that's what we do. All right. So Windsurf is going to, let's restart to update. With 8 repos, 40 containers, Kubernetes, my head is spinning, bro. That's kind of why I like doing my independent app thing right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need all that extra help. Like, sometimes I don't want to spend 40 hours just working on some like deployment issue, bro. If you just download the IDE, you can just use Codex in there for free. So you don't even need a pro plan. Bro, are you kidding me right now, bro? Are you kidding me? It says Windsurf free, upgrade now. Okay. Are you, let's see. Codex? Okay. Hey, yo, let me cook. I'm using this for free. No way. 0.5 credits. So I'm currently on the free plan, and that's kind of what we're using right now. So if I go into my app, oh, cool. Open folder. Bro, you have me curious now. Drip me out. Dang, bro. So we're literally like all up in here. What is this? Okay. Yeah, this looks just like Cursor. This looks just like VS Code. This is great. So sidebar. So I get Codex for free. Well, it says use 0.5 credits, but I guess it's free, right? I mean, because I literally have no plan. What other ones are free right now, bro? Hook me up. This is crazy. Click on the group and then amounts. Okay. Okay. Windsurf plans remain the same, at least $15 one, but it's gotten much better. And I love the /workflows feature. But it made my laptop heat up when I switched to Z IDEs and it's so lightweight. So slash workflows. What is this? Okay, I need to learn about this workflows thing because this is getting real serious. I use Codex and then 4.5 for harder stuff. Codex has been free, so I've been able to do a lot and then trickle the 500 prompts with a more powerful model. My guy just gave the whole chat. You gave everyone here like a freaking cheat code. Windsurf, free model. By the way, there's a lot of construction taking place. Let me know if you can hear this. I'm gonna put my headphones on real quick to see. Okay, I don't hear anything yet, but then we might hear it soon. Let's see. Might be free for pro actually. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's possible that I'm paying. So let me clarify. I own a business, manufacturing, transportation. I'm a partner with brokers. Got it. 1 billion in revenue for these brokerages. I tend to partner with them at a larger scale. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Manufacturing, transportation. Okay. Got it. I thought, yeah. Tyler, hit me up in the Discord. I think we're going to chat some more for sure. But I'm paranoid. So many variables. Gotcha. Yo. Who's number one right now in the chat? I'm looking at my chat right now. I got some top fans. Who's like, I am Lisa Ross with the number one. You got the 150 XP. Let's go. Foul Reaper, number 2 coming in. Okay, Foul Reaper is the one. He's the MVP of the chat today. He's the one that's actually giving us the sauce on Cursor, on Windsurf and stuff like that with the GPT-5 Codex, and I really appreciate that. Tyler as well for number 2. Content VBO, what's up? We got Mike. We got all these folks in here. Let's see who else is in the chat right now. So yeah, Foul Reaper, how long have you been a member for? I think it tells me anything here. It should tell me something about how long you've been a member for, maybe? Okay, maybe I'll figure that out later. But yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, big shout out to Foul Reaper. Who else is it? Lisa's the members as well. We got Mike in here as a member. We got, who else we got? Anyone else in here who's really rolling in? I'm just gonna see. Fan funding. Okay, nothing. No one's done a super chat yet. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I got everything. So yeah, that's what's up. Big shout out to you guys. I appreciate everyone in the chat. This has been really cool. All right, so Windsurf, I'm gonna have to check you later. You know what I mean? I'm gonna quit for now so I can get my memory back. And then this is our big bet right here. So that's gonna be a later problem. All right, cool. I don't hear anything else, so we're good. Cool. Yeah, Foul Reaper. I'll have to check that out afterwards because I think that'll be really interesting to check out for Windsurf, to check for the free models. But yeah, Foul Reaper is dropping a whole bunch of sauce right now, so we definitely appreciate it. All right, so where are we at now with our app? So what it did is added a dedicated decoder component. So this is going to use a server for doing our stuff. That's nice. And then upgraded Convex to call the new encoder. So we're going to generate call the encoder. And cool. So this is awesome. And then introduce a reusable CLI polyfill hook to set up the global file before invoking the convex commands and restricted runtimes. Why do I need that? Okay. Global.file. So I guess what's not really clear for me is the global.file thing. I need to figure out what this is. Swap the gallery and hero components consumers to use intrinsic dimensions. Okay. So Vercel's image optimizer can reuse cache variants instead of generating new fill layouts. Makes sense. And then documented the architecture update to the new encoder endpoint. Sweet. Without relying on the convex website. Yeah. Site URL, API encode. Nice. Drop the WASM shim. Epic. And trim the old dependency in favor of sharp. And then fetches the Sentry telemetry network access is restricted. What is this? Okay. Next step is set the image encoder endpoint or ensure next public site valid is valid in deployment configs before rolling out. Rerun the 2 notification events environment. Okay, so let's see. I have this here. Let me stage this one. I'm trying to why do I need the polyfill file thing. This, is that a requirement? Like, I don't understand how that works. So bundles your node into Convex fetch implementation, and then UDC expects this global file to exist, but in the node 18 runtime, Convex uses it doesn't. When the CLI tries to hydrate your action, it crashes before testing starts, hence the polyfill, so the command can run locally. If your actual Convex deploy never uses the file, for example, you're comfortable skipping the CLI build step for environment that exposes like node 20 or Wrangler with, okay, keep the polyfill. Oh, I don't think I need that. Run dev. Linux Convex dev. Yeah. Upgrade to the node runtime Convex uses where a file is provided natively on node 20 plus. Yeah, so that's already done natively. Yeah. Yeah. Use ref MCP and Exa AI MCP to do research as we are running the latest versions of Node in Convex and Next.js. So, okay. We shouldn't need that polyfill step. Polyfill file step. Okay. Yes, we shouldn't need that. Seems really strange. We're almost there. Cool. This is looking pretty good. Sweet. Awesome. Okay, so now that we're back there, so this is probably not what I'm going to be looking for. This is probably something else, but it's interesting. So opportunity to deep dives, a wedge product, auto ingest. Interesting. So there's a T+1 trade break exception in Copilot deal broker. So automate allocations, affirmations, and kill post trade breaks. T+1 compressed your client's ops windows, creating urgent demand. Off-channel comps compliance. Enforce retention auto triage views. Cat data quality. I'm not familiar with this industry, so these are like completely foreign terms to me. Wow. Okay. It was interesting. Yeah. Windsurf. Well, we'll take a look at you later. Hopefully I can get this app working. This would be really cool. But yeah. Okay, so now it's going to research the node runtime versions. Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. So this is going to do that. All right, cool. Awesome. Okay, so the other thing we want to do is I want to like basically eventually transition out of like the dev server into like the prod server. So in order to do that, like in Polar, so right now everything's running in sandbox.polar.sh. So I have to go to the regular polar.sh and create the similar product because everything's going to look exactly the same. And so in Anime Studio, what's going to happen is that I'll get basically, these are metrics and stuff. This is all like from a sandbox environment. And, I'll have my little catalog and then I'll get these little product IDs. And these product IDs are going to be the ones that are going to be delivered from, these different entities here. So in my settings and all this different stuff, I'll be able to grab the URLs that are in production and then give that to Polar. So I'm going to have like a Polar production URL. So that way when people go and like grab the product right now, when I go like do a checkout link. So if I go checkout links, this is like one of my links here, I think. Discounts, usage, catalog. Okay. Yeah. So if I share it, I have to create a link. Okay. Anyways, when I hit buy credits here, I purchase links. This link is actually generated using the API. And so that's why I don't see it on the dashboard. And then this specific link is specific to this, checkout that's made right on the fly. And so this is all basically linked back to my account and I don't really have to worry too much about it, but it's all like kind of set up for me. So yeah, changing it, which is literally be changing all these different environment variables. So I think in my settings, if I like webhooks, like these webhook URLs will actually be different. And then there'll be different secrets as well that are inside of that. So like the details, this will actually have, different orders and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of what it is right here. And then these are the different order IDs. And these were like my previous attempts at what failed. So yeah, we can kind of see all that stuff there. So yeah, that's kind of where we're headed with this thing here. And the last thing we need to do is just finish this image processing thing. Since Node ships the standard file, Convex runtime already runs. So all of these versions explode. So the extra polyfill isn't needed. Once you're on those supported files, you can delete diff and associated CLI workaround. Okay, please do that. Please do that and clean it up. Run build. I'm just curious to see what happens here. Also clean up this. Yeah. And please fix this build error. Okay, cool. Awesome. Cool. I think we're almost there. Okay. So we have that there. All right, y'all. Like, that's Codex. And I think maybe in the next video, I'll do like the comparison with Claude Code and stuff, because like, yeah, Claude Code, and then maybe doing this in Droid as well, because that'll be really interesting. Like I could check this, because this is currently just in a branch. I could snap it back and go to the plan and just kind of get that started. But if I run a Droid and I run the Codex at the same time, because I don't have like the Git like workspaces set up, what's going to happen is that they're going to override each other. And that's what I don't want. And so Cursor has this new feature in this chats that allow you to run in like the regular agent mode. If I do, is it Command E? So Command E is this new, the agent window. And in the agent window, they have this little thing here that says launch an agent in a separate work tree. So this is really cool. So now I can actually have like a whole different agent workflow. So I can technically have this Codex thing that's currently running on my machine, but also do some experiments with, you know, its own stuff here. So I can run multiple models if I wanted to, like 2, 3, 4, like actually up to 3 different models. And so I could select each of these by hitting the little plus sign. So this is where it shows up in the interface. This is where it's not really that clear. Got it. Oh, that's awesome. And I could run some comparisons. Y'all want to see this right now? This will be kind of fire actually. So what I need to do is once this finishes, I'm going to like check the code changes. I'll probably snap it back into the main branch and then kind of like run my previous plan and rerun them against these other models. That'd be really cool. Because then we'll see how good these models are at doing their stuff. Yeah, okay, so let's go back to Codex. It's going to do, okay, approve once. Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah. Verifying, git status, rand, investigating. Okay, now it removed the file. And now the runtime's exposed it natively and deleted the helper script and also dropped the unnecessary use server directive. So the encoder route keeps the node runtime without tripping TurboPack's export rule. Okay, awesome. All right, so then I should be able to run the build now. And then I should be able to load the server and run it. Yeah. Be cool. Close this. I'll close some of these too. Okay. Unix convex dev. We should be clean. Oh, okay. So, and then undev. Just curious. So the module get image by ID. Where is this? In generate. Okay, so here, what's a good thing? What am I doing? Use node is defined in generate images query function. Okay. So this is here. Convex action for more details. Okay. Only actions can be defined. Got it. So it may have to create a separate file for this specific thing here. So post generate JS. Okay, get image by ID. Get image by ID. Generate. Okay. So in Twitter query for refund functionality. Okay. Please use MCP along with Cursor or Convex rules. Okay. Okay, cool. I think we're almost there. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Cool. All right. So once I get this kind of handled, the other thing that we'll have to do is in like I'll show you in the dashboard.clerk.com. So this is my Clerk dashboard for the app. I call it Ray Cooks. And basically if I go to like my configure here, if I go from development to like change it from development, I have to create like a production instance. And if I go create production instance, what ends up happening is that I can clone my existing stuff. Like if I want to have all my configurations set up, like webhooks and all these different things, that's usually the easiest. So that way I don't have to reconfigure them when I do it in production. Or just do create a default instance. We'll basically just wipe everything, kind of have everything the same. And so a lot of times it's just easiest to clone the thing and hit continue and then kind of follow along the steps. And then the difference here now with the production instance is when I'm signing in right now, I'm basically leveraging all of the like URLs and everything. It's all based off of Clerk. And so that's how I'm able to like select sign in with Apple, sign in with Google and all these different things. And so once we do that, I have to now point my regular domain, like my regular email, it's like AnimeLeak.com, to the production instances. And this is kind of where Clerk is going to help us like walk us through that whole type of thing. So that's one side of it. And the other side of it is now updating Polar. So like that's the other part of it for payments. So switching out of the sandbox and going into the production environment and making sure that works. And so once I have those two kind of set up, users will now sign in. They'll say signing into AnimeLeak.com or something. And we're like, yes. And then you'll be able to get in. And then the other side for Polar is like when people pay with the real credit card information, they'll be able to do that stuff. So far, all of those steps have worked as far as like paying and so forth. But what I want to do before I go live is to make sure that, you know, the development workflow still works because we're changing some of the image processing pipeline over here. So I want to make sure that that works for our users and they have a good experience before, you know, doing these other types of things. That way I have like really minimal downtime. So that's kind of the way that that works there. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I was looking at there. And then we'll see how much this is finished here. So generate is marked use node. Only actions can live there. Rehome the generate by image ID images as an internal query. Call it via this. And okay, cool. So that's what it did. It rejiggered the code here. Let's see. Awesome. Let's see what it did. So now we have our route handler. Why did it just say use server? Okay. So it removed this. Oh, okay, because we had this global file thing, which we no longer needed. Okay, that makes more sense now. Okay. So now I think we still have the same problem. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. We still have the same problem. So this is where I'm just going to pull in the cursor. I think Cursor will be able to fix this super duper fast. Okay. I'm going to go use this. So I'm going to use, let's see, Codex, this one, max mode, and we're just going to let it cook. So for context, I was fixing web. Help me fix this build issue. And I think, let's see, what were we doing? I'm going to give some context. We were in the process of, okay, so I think here is where it came out. We just finished this process. Remaining issues. let's see. Previous chat. Previous chat. So I just put those little delimiters there because GPT-5 loves these types of delimiters. So you basically start with the first angle brackets and stuff, and then you put the slash at the end, basically like an XML tag. That way it just kind of captures that in its context, and it kind of knows what's been happening. So we're just going to do this and have Codex fast. So I'll just do GPT-5 medium fast, huh? I think this will work. And yes. So one of the reasons I switched over to Cursor is because I want to see like the speed here, because this is where the speed of the model technically should be pretty fast. But I also find like the feedback loop between Cursor itself as it's building things and then my rules files inside of Cursor, it's really good at following my rules files. And, you know, as far as like running the build commands and kind of doing this type of thing, you'll see it actually kind of doing these types of stuff wherein despite me telling the agent to do it in GPT-5 Codex, it still doesn't really comply very well. So even in this latest version, it doesn't work as well. And so curious to see how this is going to do its like various steps here. Now it's like read the code, and now we're having Cursor agents do its thing. And so far it's only used so 55K. So I'm going to move. Yeah. So this is what I was supposed to do last time. Cool. This is awesome. So yeah, this is kind of the reason why I like the Cursor's models, because it's just going to be supposedly more autonomous, but we'll see what ends up happening here. So yeah, that's interesting. All right, cool. So that's going to be going there. So I'll move the query mutations out of the node here. So that's what it did. Go to here. And what I should have done is use the agent window so that I can see more things, but it's okay. Implementing the types. Okay. I've moved the task into progress. Okay. Update the generate TS. Great. Okay. So now it's moved one part of them into no query. Yes. So now we've moved the generate TS from update from originals. Okay. And then there's probably parts of the code on the front end that'll have to update as well, because these are words calling it, but I don't think so. Actually, I don't think it matters because the name is still the same. Yep. Cool. Yeah, see, it already fixed it. Here we are. Nice. Excellent. Cool. Dang. Yo, Cursor cooked. Wow. Wow. Run the app and retry. So this totally cooked. So you can see analyzing source code, running TypeScript, the functions are ready. Are we like, we should be totally good to go. Whoa. Bundev. Wow. Okay, I think we're good to go, fam. Internal server error. Come on. No, let's go. All right, cool. Oh, interesting. So it changed the size of my image because it has like these different. That's an interesting one. Okay, so let me delete this one and try again. Delete image. Okay, so now go into here and then try my friend again or my dog. Let's try this one. Oh, I see. This image was already low quality to begin with. My bad. So I'll try my dog. Let's see what she does. So now we're doing this type of thing. So it's doing the upload. I see the function call, and we should be able to get back and see some type of transformation, right? So like, let's see. And from here, we should see it do some type of calling here. So convex function ready. And then we're seeing it do a post. So it looks like it's actually doing the transformation now. Okay, using 1 credit. Nice. And so now it's doing the transformation. So it looks like the image finished already. And then now it's send that off, I think. Let's see. Cool. That's awesome. Oh, I see. If you go to the model, okay, the best model to run plan mode and cursor. Yes. The best model to run plan mode and cursor, I like Sonnet 4.5 a lot. You could also run, I think, I haven't tried too much with GPT-5 like high recently. Last time I tried was like a couple weeks ago or something, or a week ago. But I found to be the GPT Sonnet 4.5 to be really, really good in plan mode. Something about the questions it asks back and forth, or the way it's trained to do this type of planning, works really, really well. Yeah. And so, okay. Help me debug this implementation. And I'm going to give it this progress bar here, the spec. As we were on the remove, let's see. Okay. On this, and here's the spec file. And here is the spec file. As of now, the problem that I'm having is it looks like we're able to upload the image, and the backend currently sees the image being uploaded, and on the front end, it's currently just hanging. So I need you to take a deeper look here at the logs from Convex and what's happening in our code as well. So here we are. I'm just going to give it this thing for our session. And then it's going to say Convex logs. Oops. Okay. Paste. Oh, it's already attached into here. Okay, cool. And then over here, looks like we see this. And okay. Please, you are welcome to use ref for search and X AI MCP to help. Okay, so I'm basically telling it now to review the, like basically the spec plan of where we are now. So it has a little bit more context of what we've done. And then the kind of the check of also like, it's going to have that context of like what the spec is, what it's supposed to be doing, and also where we are to like debug the problem. And so in essence, I'm trying to have it catch up. And I'm hoping that here on forward, that Cursor is just going to be able to continue to update that documentation folder. And so just to kind of get some clarity a little bit, we've started off with Cursor's like Codex, or sorry, we started off with OpenAI's Codex type of thing. And so Codex runs as a plugin inside of Cursor. It could also run inside of VS Code. Earlier in the video, I had like an install command, which we were kind of running for that. And so that's been able to get us pretty far as far as the implementation details, and had 4 different versions on the cloud. We selected version 2. We applied that locally, and that's kind of where we were able to get at. My app AnimeLeak basically has this thing where I get the images that get processed by Google's Gemini Nano Bananas model. And then that's the one that actually sends it back to us. But the problem is the images that get sent back from Google are still pretty big, like 1.5 to 2 megabytes of images. So we want to basically store that more efficiently. And there's a couple different techniques that we want to do. And one of them involves like actually doing the stuff like the actual processing server side. And so Vercel has its own server processing thing where you would do this type of stuff. But I want to see if we can do it proactively and then send that image right back to Convex so that it can just serve it directly and have these minimal processing fees. The other thing that's not really clear to me right now, after kind of going through this whole exercise, is like, I'm not like this crazy backend engineer, and I don't have a lot of like web dev experience. I just have general engineering experience from just, working on different products, especially on client side. And so after going through this whole type of thing, I'm starting to kind of rethink this whole workflow and the architecture here, because I'm trying to think, It sounds like Cloudflare, we did some investigation earlier with the Codex, plugin to do some web searching, and says like Cloudflare has an option. It gets pretty bad if you scale up pretty quickly. And Vercel is actually most cost effective as of February 2025. They made some pricing changes to the image processing. So if you do scale up pretty fast, you actually take advantage of a lot of their, image transformation type of stuff. And so it makes me think, since these companies already have resources dedicated for this type of stuff, can I just leverage on them? Like, I'm setting up a node process to do what they're basically doing already. And if it's going to cost me compute time, why not just leverage what they're already doing? So my thinking is like, maybe I already had this stuff working and I just was overthinking it. I don't know. That's kind of what we're thinking about here. This is kind of the learning process. See, if I actually knew how this stuff worked, I'm kind of learning as I'm going. But I'm kind of thinking about this. It's like, wait, where are we going with this? And so what I'm doing here is like, I'm basically leveraging the AI to make these different attempts for me. But I'm kind of doing this feedback loop in my head out loud, talking to you, trying to explain it, because that's how I learn to do these types of things, right? And so a lot of times I can get stuff up running pretty fast. But now that I'm thinking about it loud, like what's the best practice here? And this is kind of really how I'm doing some learning. And hopefully you've been able to kind of see some of this journey here at some part of the way. I'm going to have some timestamps available in this entire video. So at the end of the live stream, you'll actually be able to go back. Cursor is basically finishing up its entire run right now, as far as like what this really means for us. So we'll see what happened here. So I saw the front end hang, traced convex logs, the dynamic import mutation. I fixed that and updated client retry path so the UI can recover when items failed properly. So what changed is the convex refund mutation. So as a static import and avoid dynamic import module side mutations. So the client retry original mutation. Okay, so convex deb push is okay now. Everything's now back and working. Upload an image. Original should show as processing in the gallery. When the image generation fails, the UI retry image should schedule a retry original without hanging. If generation fails, the refund logic should run without a dynamic import error. Credit should be restored when enabled. If this hangs, paste the convex log in the line. Okay. With the refund input. The next likely culprit would be an encoder endpoint issue. It's missing this. This is exactly what's happening, is that this actual endpoint issue is missing. So, okay. Oh, that's right. So that's exactly it. Affecting the post. That's exactly what happened. So in here, in this /API route is here. So what I wanted to do is I'm going to open up plan mode right now, and I'm going to start a new chat. And I'm going to ask this conversation. Like, we started a conversation earlier, and we were trying to figure out, like, am I kind of repeating myself here? I probably am. And this is kind of where I want to give it some research tasks. So I want to give this to Claude Sonnet thinking. And this is where I'm going to run the, agent mode. Okay. And this is where I'm going to go to plan. So we're going to see plan mode right now, activate with Claude Sonnet. This is kind of my favorite mode. So right now, I'm just having some realizations, because the whole reason for my implementation of my current approach for optimizing images is the fact that users are uploading images on the client side. So their iPhone could be uploading multiple megabytes of images in the tens of 20 of megabytes. And they're usually of a different format, like HEIC or something like that. That gets sent over to my app. And so I'm already doing some type of processing on the client side before I send it over to Google Gemini's image to be processed. And so when they do some type of processing with the AI language model there, it then spits back a file of a certain size, and that's usually around a couple megabytes or so. And we are wanting to store that in a very cost-effective way. And I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to do that type of processing, because is it just better to store that file in Convex that we get back from Google, because it's already about 1.5 megabytes or so? Or is it better to run it on Vercel's process to do some type of compression and kind of go from there and just leave it as is? I'm concerned about a couple of things. Is if I get a lot of traffic because the post goes viral, what does that look like at different scales? For example, 100 customers, 1,000 customers, 100,000 or so. And I'm also curious if people share links and the post goes to like 1 million views, what's going to happen there as well. So your goal is to think really hard and help me with this research task. And then I think the other thing I want to do is I want you to use the Exa AI MCP. I think it's Exa. Let's see. I want you to use Exa AI MCP and use ref MCP search MCPs. Okay. And then I think what else do I have to give it here? I've already started on this with at then plan. Let's see, image. Let's see, documentation. I think it's called web. What is it called? My plan is WebP. WebP master spec, and then whoa, WebP master progress. Okay. The realization that I'm having right now, it is possible that I've totally over-engineered this, and that I'm using the resources on Vercel's node environment when they already do this, or Cloudflare we already looked at earlier with, pricing doesn't really make sense if I do scale up pretty fast. It does make sense if my scale is pretty small. So that's kind of what we're trying to understand here. And less code is better, obviously, because I do like the dry approach. And then DRY. Whoa. Okay. Okay. So this is going to be, we're going to see Cursor has this plan mode, and we're going to use the Claude Sonnet 4.5 model. And we're going to see actually how it does, when it does this type of planning thing. And this is just going to go through our code base. And I really like this model a lot, especially for planning, because this is going to help us really truly understand this. And this is kind of like another perspective. Sometimes that's kind of the reason also why I like Cursor a lot, is because you can do different models for different things, right? GPT-5 is really good, and it's really good. Okay, I'm going to run. So this is going to check this type of query. I already did this earlier. I'm just going to run again. But it's kind of doing it now in its own window, in its own context. And whatever plan we have here moving forward should be pretty freaking solid. So convex storage pricing cost per gigabyte file. And so sometimes for me, I feel like it's just a good idea to revisit these problems again, because you can go down these rabbit holes just like I have been. And I'm pretty sure everyone else has felt the same way. And then you don't really get the result you want. Or maybe it's just like overly engineered, or maybe it's just unresourceful, right? Like I was just thinking out loud. I was like, wait, I'm already using the same resources to do the same thing. I'm not really saving anything. What if I just rent a VPS for $5 a month and just do that processing there? What's the VPS size that I'll need? Is it going to be $12 a month or $30 a month to actually run my image processing, or can I spin it up and down depending on the demand? I don't know, I think there are a lot of different options I can have here. And to me, if some of these services already included in my cost or whatever I'm doing, I'd prefer those, because the last thing I want to do is kind of manage them. And as you know, like certain things can run forever and certain things don't. So yeah, we'll see. I think this is kind of what it is. Yeah. So don't use third-party service. So use Sharp. So yeah, that's what I was doing earlier. But to run Sharp, I need to understand more about like the cost and where to run it. So like if I do spin up a VPS, like how much does that cost and how many images can I spin up on my own? So I think I might do that as a separate research task right now. ChatGPT. I'm just going to do something like standard. I have an app that's doing a lot of processing of images, and I've learned about the Sharp library, and I'd like to see if I can stand this up on my own on a VPS or something. And I'm trying to figure out what the requirements are. Users are going to be uploading images from like iPhones, like HEIC, And I'll be able to do some client side on the browser compression before I do some processing. But ideally, I'm basically bringing back images processed from Google's Nano Banana model. And that's currently about 1.5 megabytes or so. And then I want to do some compression to put that into WebP so that it'll do like a 95% compression rate because it's so good at compression. So I'm trying to understand how many requests can I serve to a VPS? What types of sizes will I need? Can something scale up and scale down? And what's the general cost here? And is it cost effective compared to what Vercel is currently offering? Because I'm on a Vercel Pro plan. Also compare that to the R2 stuff from Cloudflare and Cloudflare images and give me a full breakdown. So I'm going to turn this from thinking to heavy. This turned into like a major research task. So yeah, I'm going to do that type of thing. Cool. So we're also running this well. So it depends on where you want to host your app and where you'll be hosting it. In the cloud, bro. I only host things in the cloud. That's the library Vercel uses for image compressing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to run some question marks here. I think it's really good to truly understand this type of stuff because once you learn it, then you can use it in the future forever, right? I feel like, especially with AI, media and images and compression is going to be like a really important story because you want to not run your bills up, but also have other people use your apps and stuff like that. So yeah. Yo, okay. Sharpsy, what's good, man? Yo, we out here chilling. We're trying to make $1 million, right? First time I've managed to catch a live stream. Let's go. Yeah, these live streams are pretty fun. So yeah, if you haven't caught up a little bit, basically the app's called AnimeLeak. And what we're doing here is basically you can upload an image and then it starts to kind of make these cool little anime things. The problem I discovered is the fact that like once this app starts to get to scale, like beyond a couple hundred users, I'm going to be paying up the wazoo for all this image like delivery stuff because I'm going to be like delivering large payloads of images to people. And while stuff could be cached and whatnot, like the first read can cost me a lot of money for a lot of people. And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what type of compression can I do? Because once I get the image back from Google, it's going to send me about a couple megabytes for the size. And then people are going to have different size phones and everything. I don't need to serve the big image. So there's a lot of really great optimizations to save here. And it's possible my default stuff that I had was already doing it pretty well, but I want to make sure I capture and not, like if I do get someone who's really popular starts to use my app, like all I need is like some Taylor Swift or something to post a stupid shot of a puppy that she's with at a football game. It's all drawn. Everyone's going to be like, where is that from? AnimeLeak? Oh my God, I got to go there. And then like I get 10 million views in like 40, like it almost DDoS itself, right? I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I'm already manifesting it. So I'm putting it out there. Oh man. But yeah, that's what's up. That's kind of where we're going here with this type of thing. So yeah, this is, and now I want to be ready for this. I don't want these servers to like melt down. I want to be ready for this traffic. But at the same time, I already have like 100 users who've signed up. I know it's free, but it's already telling me that people are using the app. And that's kind of the reason why I'm putting way more energy into it, because the time is really now. And I don't think I've really seen many people do some cool stuff like this. And I want to see this anyways. Like I want to just give my friend links to, AnimeLeak and they'll just do this type of thing. So where are we at with Cursor? Let's see. Damn. Dude, Cursor plan mode is goated, bro. I'm gonna get rid of this on the side. Holy smokes. Okay. Image pipeline cost analysis. The client uploads this and then it's able to compress to under 3 megabytes. So the Convex stores the web compressed under a few hundred kilobytes. This is what I wanted. And then Gemini processes and returns a 1.5 megabyte image. Vercel has an encode endpoint. This is what I have. Recompress with Sharp. And then Convex storage stores the final web piece. So the key pricing facts is this. This is kind of what we saw earlier. And Convex storage has a file storage cost of 3 cents per gigabyte per month. And then if you have Pro, you get 3 cents per gigabyte and then free on starter, 50 gigabytes a month from Pro. So the transformations are this. So the scenario one is 100 users per month. So viral TikTok posts gets gallery views. 100 uploads, 100 AI image generated 200 images, average 500 kilobytes for final. Okay, so this is kind of what happens. So the total monthly cost for about 100 users per month will be $1.50. And then if I let Vercel handle it, that's only 7 cents. Yo, this is crazy. How is this even possible? So my current stack does this. The winner is at 100 users. Let Vercel handle, saves $1.40. And then 1,000 users. That's 2,000 images total. $15 for this. And then Vercel handles this. 3 gigabytes plus this. And then 2K for transforms. That's still $10.49. Yo, and if people are paying like $5 to $10 to use my app, that'll more than cover the cost. Just one user. Wow. So 100,000 users, massive viral success. This is what I'm talking about. So this will cost me $1,595. And then Vercel basically, if like, so this is an interesting threshold that at 100,000 users, this is where my current implementation goes from here to here. Interesting. So winner at 100K users, current approach saves $375 a month. So you're currently over-engineered at a small scale, but under-engineered at viral scale. Interesting. The problem with the current approach, convex bandwidth is expensive. Exactly. Client-side compression is good, reduces upload costs. Server-side recompression is unnecessary until you hit 100K images. I thought so. Or 10K images. You're paying double, convex bandwidth plus Vercel bandwidth. So optimal strategy by scale is for 0 to 10K, simplify, skip this entirely, client compresses, upload a convex, store Gemini output directly, and let Vercel image handle the rest. This is so awesome. I love thinking through this with another model. This is so smart. So that cost at 100K users is $10 a month, mostly free tier. So this is going viral. So a hybrid, parameterize masters, let Vercel handle the variants. Store and convex, Gemini output, then this is where I will encode it here. So I can still keep the code and just keep it behind a feature flag. And so that way I'll just turn on the feature if I get viral or something like that. Or maybe set like inside of Vercel, you can have webhooks. So once you reach a certain threshold of volume, or maybe I can keep a counter or something that goes on to like, hey, I'll have like a sentry output saying there's like 10,000 requests in the last 5 minutes. Check a tweet or something, you may have gone viral. Or like then flip over the code and turn on that processor so that way I start saving money right away. A lot of different ways to think about this is really interesting. At 50K users, it's $750 a month. So migrate to a dedicated CDN. This is kind of what they're talking about for Cloudflare. So keep convex for database only, store the images in R2, use Cloudflare images, Bunny CDN, and alternatives AWS CloudFront. So the cost 100K users at this. So for 100,000 users, it will cost me $500 a month for this. At this point, I'm printing money, bro. I'm printing like $1 million plus a month. Let's go. Immediate do now. Remove this. You're compressing already compressed images to the benefit of scale. Your Gemini output directly to convex. Skip the Vercel node encoding step. Let's go. Let's go. I love you, Claude Sonnet 4.5. Use Vercel image optimization properly. So this is in your comments, your metadata you're capturing. Okay. Set longer TTLs. So 31 days. Don't generate AVF2 halves transformations. Okay. Nice. Oh, okay. Because I was generating 2 transformations. I didn't know that. So now I save $5 to $10 a month now and $100 a month at scale. If you go viral, monitor the bandwidth in the dashboard. And when it goes over, consider the Cloudflare. This plan is fire. Okay. So the break-even point is when it becomes worthwhile. So convex bandwidth savings is greater than convex Vercel compute cost overhead. So 50 gigabytes. So you have over-engineered this at your current near-term scale. Yes. I love this plan. Less code is better here. You can remove 100 lines of code and save money. Plan mode. I can't tell you how amazing. I love plan mode. Wow, wow, wow. Cursor plan mode, bro. It's Cursor plan mode literally saved me $100 a month. This is not an advertisement. I saved, ladies and gentlemen, I saved $100 a month on Cursor plan mode. Not car insurance. Not with the little gecko and everything. This is great. This is great. Why would you like me to create a plan and simply, yes, yes, go. What are you doing? Waiting for my slow ass to, yes, let you cook. Yes, cook. I can't even spell cook correctly. I'm just too hyped right now. Yes, this is great. Please generate the plan to simplify. Okay, this is awesome. And then check it out. It used 80K tokens for this entire thing. So 80K tokens for this entire research request, reading these different files and doing everything. That research is gorgeous. All right, cool. I'm all about simplifying code, keeping all my stuff in one space. So I'm going to let it do its thing there. And let's go ahead and check back in on this other research while it's doing that there. So now it's going to create this plan. I'll show you how we integrate this plan and just absolutely obliterate here. So the best no ops plan is use Cloudflare images. Bro. Okay, what Sharp needs on your own box? So it needs a Node.js runtime, this decode, Sharp concurrency, Sharp cache, one line installer. Vercel image optimization won't optimize HEIC inputs. They're served as is. So if you save Vercel images, you have to convert them before Vercel sees it client side or a backdoor worker. Okay. Bro, this is crazy. Keep your app on Vercel, use Vercel image optimization. Okay, self-hosted. So a server is basically $16 a month for 4, 8, 16, and 20 for 20 terabytes of transfer included. Per image cost is effectively near zero until you saturate the CPU. You still want a CDN in front like Cloudflare, free or paid. For pure cost, Cloudflare images stored wins by a lot. If you need custom pipelines around Banana outputs, VPS workers plus R2, Cloudflare CDN are extremely cost effective. So it sounds like I have a lot of options, but right now I could just go with what this Cursor plan is by default. And then until I get there, like 10,000 users, which is totally amazing, I can consider this type of plan. A pragmatic architecture for you. So upload a Cloudflare images, accept HEIC, serve with this URL, store the originals in R2. So I don't think I need this. My current plan already does the optimization on the client side. Okay. Interesting. This is an interesting plan. I really like it though. Y'all are, yeah, Cloud style hitting you on plan mode, bro. Well, I stand correctly. Okay, that's interesting. You definitely want less token utilization. Better to over engineer than engineer. I think it depends, File Reaper. I think like a lot of times, so I don't know. I think you get this with experience, which is kind of why I'm reading this out loud. And I want to share this lesson with you is that there's been so many times I've worked at these like bigger companies and I've only had experience with the big one, where some of the solutions are very over-engineered and I've had to pay the price for it as a consumer on the other side. So even though like the end user wasn't affected, it was like I had to use their work to do the work that I needed. And I knew it was way over-engineered. And for me to just do really basic type of function, like I would see certain patterns emerge over and over again. And so what's great about the language model and all the public data that everything the language model is captured, you get those perspectives too, right? So you get those really senior engineers who like to really go crazy and over engineer things. So by default, they're going to come in with like this, like, here's a mega hammer you need. And it's like, bro, this is too heavy to lift. It's okay. You can do everything with it, right? It's like, I just need the little tiny hammer just to like get this little nail in front of me, right? Or like just to get this little thing here. Like that's all I needed, right? Like I just need to turn this little screw with my hands. I don't need this like giant machine to come in here and just like, and so you sniff those out pretty quickly. And that only comes with experience, right? And learning by doing, and then you'll have real world experiences where you're like, why is my bill so high? And so that's where you start to ask these questions and you start to want to learn about them. And you do want to take the time like I am doing. You know, we spent, I don't know what this live stream turned into 3 hours now of image processing, right? You see how complex this type of issue is. And I'm using AI to help me guide through this because this is a first time process for me. Like I've never like shipped an app that dealt so heavily with images, right? Like completely images. I've dealt with apps like in Photos, you know, that are like dealing with AWS and like a bunch of other things on the back end, like that are specific to like, I don't know, hundreds of terabytes of data, but that like I wasn't directly involved with that. I only had to grab the image and like display it or something on a device, but like figuring out all the, you know, Kubernetes clusters and all the weird stuff that you have to do for something like that is like a whole different art form. And you have that. you have the, these level things, and you have like somebody like me who's just trying to vibe and kind of be ready for the next thing. And I don't feel like there's not enough information like that online for us to learn about. And so I'm taking this time to really study this and learn it. And then hopefully you can get some lessons out of this. And then in the future, when I make new apps, I can kind of explain them a little bit better now. It's like, for now I can educate people about Cloudflare R2, Cloudflare images, Vercel image processing, and then maybe break down the pipeline of what happens. Like, you have an iPhone image. How does that go down? It gets smaller. When it goes to Google, what happens when it comes back? And then how do you display it? And then everything that needs to happen in between then. So it's a pretty lengthy process, and don't feel embarrassed that it takes you a long time or the AI doesn't get in one shot. It is a pretty complicated engineering problem. And if you've never been exposed to it like me, even as somebody with experience, it's not like, don't be discouraged, right? That's kind of what I'm saying. You will learn through it. And if you're persistent enough, it's just a matter of just keep continuing to read. Continuing to read, seek resources, ask questions, and AI is one of my resources that I'm using here. And so this has been extremely helpful for me to see, because I think we're almost there, if you know what I mean. I feel like this all the time though, you know what I mean? So that's what's up. Yeah. Yeah. Big Ray, I'm using Vercel only because it's so good. Should I try something else like Cloudflare? Do some research. I think it definitely does depend on your plan and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm assuming you're on the Cursor Max plan. I have the Ultra. Yeah. Max enabled all time font. So yeah, you will run out of usage if you use it all the time for sure on the max mode. That's kind of why I like to try Codex. Codex got us a very long way. We're at the stage now where we're kind of working on the refinement for like a really specific issue now. And we have a lot of context now. We've generated all these files. I've generated these spec documents. Now I'm able to give it, and it has a lot more details in terms of files to look at and what specific things it should be doing. So now that we have this plan that's generated, I'm going to go ahead and save this to the workspace. So this is going to get saved to us. And if I hit Command E, this will pop us back into the regular mode. At the very top, you'll see the plans outlined, and we'll see this exact plan here. So this plan is completely outlined here. And then we also have the to-dos here. So it's going to delete this route. It's going to delete this. It's going to delete a bunch of code, which is really nice. And we're going to get back to shipping basically, which I'm really excited about. So I think we're ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and just build it right here with Sonnet 4. Before we do that, I'm just going to check in all the code that we have so far, just to have some like sticking points to know where we're at. And then from there, we're able to see all the new changes come in and kind of revert as possible. So that's there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and say build. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these things that are no longer needed here. Okay. So back in cursors mode here for the agent window, I'm just going to kind of take this whole thing and say cook. I want to change that feature out to just say cook. So yeah, that's what's up. Okay. Do you validate the plans that the models make, like ask them to do research with their suggested stack or refactor their plan? Yes, I usually spend a lot more time, probably longer than that on this type of stream. Like I usually spend more time right now on the stream. I'm just trying to get going because I have to go to the bathroom. But I'm pretty confident that this change will work. If not, I could always snap back. Other cool thing about cursors, you can just go right back to the specific point and literally undo all these changes in one shot and so fast. So lesson learns, I always have the max plan mode with build mode normal. It can help just depending on what you're doing. I do find the max does help it and then the little brain icon for the thinking, it really helps a lot. I also used two MCPs. One's called ref.tools and the one's called XAI. Those are basically like cracked web searchers. So ref.tools. This kind of shows you how and why it's so great because it's probably like the most minimal context. Like it doesn't overfill your context with all the research that it's doing. And then you combine that with Exa and then you get just really great documentation because Exa already has a lot of documentation that's cached and they're super fast with their web searches. So you can web search with Exa, web script with Firecrawl, do whatever you type to do. So basically think about Exa as like already scraped everything, already summarized and have all these sections ready for the LLM to pick up. So that way you don't just feed it all this scraped HTML. And in essence, it's like, some of these MCPs are like going to a dump truck, picking up a big old dump truck, filling it with a bunch of stuff, and then dumping it in your front lawn. And then if you're having to sort through everything while you're trying to, cook your dinner and stuff to grab like a pot. You're like, I don't want to do that. So the ref.tools and exa, it's like calling someone like an Uber saying, hey, I need like this pot. Can you go pick it up at the store? And like, hey, I need something else to like melt butter and then do this special like recipe. Can you help me figure out what that is? It's like, oh, you need a ricer. If you want your thing to taste this good and have this crispy taste, I'm going to go find that for you. And that's like ref.tools. Ref.tools is like figuring that out. It knows what to do. It says, okay, so it's going to pull across exactly the information it needs and sends you back only like the thing you need is a ricer and this is where it's found. And then like, here's the information about it. And so now you have that information and it's like handed off to like exa and saying, okay, I'm going to pick that up from the store. And this is my specific item I have. Here's the items I have already for like this ricers. And I'll give you these 3. And, and then it returns back to your house with just those items. So the analogy of dumping everything into your front lawn is the context window. So if you use a tool like Perplexity, it may just dump everything into your front lawn. And then you yourself, aka your context window, is going to have to do the work to find those specific documentations or things that fit for it, which you generally don't want to do. So offloading it to these 2 have been my favorite because they do all the work for you on that end. And it's just so clear, like the performance I get from it is way exceeding everything. So that's kind of where I'm landing with these. Yeah, that's what's up. Okay, cool. So let's see here. What are we doing here? So we have the package JSONs that are updated. We have this is removing this code here. So now it's going to convert the 6 to a blob and store it in Convex. Gemini already returns optimized images. No need to recompress. All right. So the height, weight, blur can handle the optimization. Okay, cool. A single format, so I don't have to convert to 2. And then now it's going to update the documentation for the upload spec. Important update. I like this. And then the upload progress is going to upload the... Damn, this is great. Bro, it's cooking. Simplified summary. Okay, can't be doing that, bro. You can't be... Claude loves to do this. It loves to do this. Oh my gosh. Oh, please, stop. I almost threw up a little bit inside when I saw that file. All right, fam. So we have this. Okay, so what do we got here? Let's cook right here. Let's see. All right. So where are we? Okay, so this was our plan. Yes, this is great. Let's move forward. It did all the removals of stuff. It simplified the image pipeline as planned. It removed these as well. Great. Dang. So before, the user would upload, the client would do the preparation, and then Convex, it would go to Convex, and then Gemini would run the API post command, and then send that over to an encoder on my node, on my Next.js like route handler. Sharp would recompress it and then put that back into Convex. So I'm basically, oh man, these ideas sound really good at the beginning. It's like, yeah, I'm going to optimize everything. And you're like, wait, I'm eating up bandwidth between the 2 trips. Nah, that's not good. That's not good. So this is your brain and this is your brain on AI, right? User upload, client does the preparation and goes to Convex. And now Gemini AI just calls Convex directing. That's it. So the cost at 1K is $10 a month, was $15. And I have a 33% savings on car insurance. No, code removed. And here we go. So bun install. Okay, let's run all of our stuff. We have to verify the uploads work, test the share links, watch Vercel observability dashboard, set the alert for 50 gigabyte bandwidth per month. That's awesome. That's a really good idea. Gemini already returns the optimized images. Vercel CDN is cost effective at your scale. And client-side prep already handles users. And Celeste code user maintain. All right. Let's go keep all. This is where we YOLO, fam. Oh man, Cursor is crazy. Cursor, someone send the fire department to Cursor because y'all are cooking. It's on fire right now. All right. Yo, okay. So this code is gold. I don't like this file, but whatever. Can we just move that simplified? Where is this file? Rebrand summary, simplification summary. Okay. I don't need these types of files in here. So I'm going to tell that to the agent. Yo, I don't need, Whoa. Let me go back to Cursor. Okay. Here we go. I don't need at rebrand summary and at simplification. Wait. Oh man. Hold on. I don't need. Let me just copy this relative path. Copy relative path in my root folder as I already. Have a documentation folder with rules in README. Okay. So I think what I'll do is I'll check these changes in right now because they should technically work. And then let me just upload and verify things before I do some documentation cleanup. Okay, let's just reload this. I think we're almost here. Okay. Let's see. All right, let's do this. Upload. And theoretically, we're uploaded it. I think I did refresh the page, right? Did I? No, I didn't. I'm going to re-kill everything. Oh, I already... I basically killed the front end, but the image was already uploaded to the back end. And I think it's just going to continue processing. Let me just reload. Oh my God, what's going on? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is sitting here. Going to just delete image. Yeah. Okay. So that's there. And then I'm going to rebuild this here. Let's go back. All right, cool. So it's running my convex functions, running TypeScript, pushing code, deploying. Okay, let's sync those changes. Here we go. And upload an image. Upload. Okay. So what are we doing? Uploading. And then Command Shift A. All right, we're doing our thing. Errors. Console. Let's read the console. Network. Okay. Cool. So come on, come on, come on. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Cursor and make a rule. So okay. So as of now, I'm basically going back and let me just check on my images. So what's weird is that the image transformation kind of failed here. And I want to check this on Vercel. So Vercel, I'll just double check this. We should have like the branch that's currently available. So this is the image pipeline branch and this finished a minute ago. And I just want to check this in production. Just want to make sure that everything's working there. I have a feeling it's going to work there. So here we are. I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. Let me just kind of go ahead and sign in here. Not expose all the accounts. And then we should come back. Continue. All right. Oh, here it is. It's done. So it already worked, but I think my local app, it was just hanging. Right? Let's see. Yeah. I'm going to try uploading another image here. So I'm going to try this and I'm going to try this one. Upload. Okay. Preparing. So now we're basically testing it on a live deployment. So the app is actually already deployed up and this will just kind of eliminate anything. What I find weird is how long it takes to upload because it should be really fast. I don't know. Is it you? Is it me? It's probably the processing on the back end. Okay, timelines, sources. Okay, console elements network. What are we waiting for here? Upload. Fetch was 11 seconds. Damn. That was a long ass upload. Why does it take so long? Interesting. That was a long ass upload. Huh. Wow. Okay. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is copy this. Copy. Let's see, is this even useful? No, it's not. Timing. Preview. So our upload function took a long time and it's hanging. Okay. Help me debug this. Yeah, okay. Okay, so help me debug our implementation because I'm seeing the following. The first thing I'm seeing is it takes about 11 seconds to complete the upload. And I'm not sure if it's because a combination of trying to compress the image or anything like that, but the source image was only about 550 kilobytes in size. And then the second issue that I'm seeing is the fact that like I'm seeing the convex logs show a successful processing, but the front end just shows like a spinning thing and it's never actually updates and shows the image that's finished and processed. So it appears to be hanging for longer than it should be. It is possible that the 11 seconds was because of this state that didn't shift back and forth, but I need you to dig a little bit further here and see what's going on. Okay. I think that's it, right? We do have a layout issue as well. I think this will say. So the other thing is, and lastly, we have a layout issue because the image, as you can see, is a different size from the others in the gallery view here. Okay, so we should be able to fix them. And so what's happening now? We basically never create this. Yeah, okay. This is what's it's doing here. Rebrand summary. So now it just moved them into fixes. Okay, cool. So it just moved these files that like Claude likes to create into fixes. So we'll see how this works. So we have these changes stored there, and now we're back in the agent window, and the agent window is now working through our bug fixes. Hopefully we'll be able to fix them. Let's see what it's saying. I can see there are 3 issues to debug. Let me investigate each one systematically. Cool. And so we have only 12% of the context window used up, 126,000 tokens. And it should have everything that we need in here for this. Okay. I'm just using the regular terminal that comes with the Mac, the ZSH. And then what I've equipped it with is called like the Powerline tools. And that's kind of what we're kind of seeing there. And then I have like a theme that I'm using. I think it's called, yeah, Powerline is a theme or something like that. Show original images that are pending or process. Okay, so pending, process, and completed. Okay. Front end updating, not critical bug. So the gallery queue is filtering out completed original images. Look at the code. Okay. Compressed file needs compression. Oh, okay. So now it's going to make a compression decision, which makes sense. Okay. The image prep is always running compression, even on already small images. Let's optimize. And then there's a layout problem. Okay, cool. GPT-5 versus GPT-5 Codex for planning. I think it just depends on the complexity of your plan and like what specific things you're going to touch. So I find like Sonnet 4.5, especially for UI related things, really good at those types of plannings. 4.5 extended thinking with the brain and all that stuff. GPT-5 high, I really like for what I was using Opus for. And that's pretty much for all my general planning. It's really, really good. GPT-5 Codex is really nice if you just leave it on auto mode for implementations too. It goes through a lot of details. But sometimes you may not get all the fixes you want. So that's why I like switching models, because sometimes you get a better perspective that way. Just kind of depends. Does it still hang? No, it doesn't hang if I reload the page. So if I go back here, maybe I should mention that. Yeah. So like it doesn't hang, but I think it shows the older image, which is still weird. Yeah. So we have this thing here and we have this. I think this is the one because it got deleted. I don't remember. Also, oh, I see the original image is still hanging around. I just realized that the older images were still hanging around, aka the original ones. So I want you to take a look and see if we already solved that as well. So I think this should already have all the code complete here. Yeah. So now we have the force aspect ratio. And then we have the new state. And then we have the, oh my God, it likes to, okay. Oh, it does write the fixes. Yeah. Allowed inputs. Okay. I don't think I like this, but we'll see. Okay. All fixes are backward compatible and maintain this simplified architecture. We are, oh yeah, I'm just going to release that. Okay. So let me just try this again. Refresh. Let me rebuild stuff. Okay. Okay, convex functions are ready. All right, we refresh. Let's see here. Okay, so it did fix that issue that no, it didn't. It has the older images there. Okay, so theoretically, I have my friend again, like me down here. Me with doggy. Okay, so now it's going to upload. Okay, 1 transformation started using 1 credit, 63 remaining. Okay, that's cool. That's a good start. Let's see. Let's see what's happening now. So it says it's still, okay, now successfully prepared. Whoops. Oh no. Here it is. Aha. This is great. Okay, cool. Awesome. So I think what's happening is we're seeing like the original image and then the one next to it. And I kind of just want to show just the completed image, but this is cool. Let me see, load more. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So even like the failed ones, that's cool. So you have this original image and then this is the completed image. Okay. So now I think, yeah, this is a good start. And then I'm going to go ahead and deploy this so we can get this on prod. And then the last bug fix is now. Okay. Okay. So this is great and looks like it fixes the things here, but I realized that the older images are still hanging around, or the original image, and we don't want to show that at all. And once we're done with the processing, we should probably just get rid of the older images or the original updated images. Actually, I'm going to reword that. So what I realize here is the fact that the original image is now being shown in the gallery where it wasn't before. And it also made me realize that we should throw away the original image once we've completed a successful processing. Because if there is an error or the user doesn't like it, they're going to delete it anyways, and then going to rerun a processing. And since we already refund them the credits, there's no need to keep the original image in there anyways. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's go and do that. Awesome. Oh, what about having the original and the modified one in a folder album so you can see before and after? Oh, that's a good idea. Dang it. I'm going to stop this. Okay. You know what I realized is the fact that we can show the original image and the new image. What's interesting is the fact that we are actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to create a whole new feature for this. That's what I'm going to do. I think that's what I'm going to do. Because like, actually, what I'll do right now is like, can we hide the original image and then just only show the processed image? That way, in the future, when I build an image like to do the comparison, we'll be able to see the comparisons, like the slider view. You know, you can actually see the slider view. I think that'll be really cool. Actually, that's a really good idea. So, okay. I think that's thinking through this a little bit further. I think, dude, file repo, you're like the MVP of the chat right now. This is really great. Okay, so let's do that. So I think it would be best in the gallery view to only show the images that have been processed, and we don't want to show the original image. In the future, we're going to have a feature where we do some nice feature to kind of show the two side by side. But as of now, we just want to show the images that have been processed once they're completed. Okay, so I think we've made it this far. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and send this over. Continue and revert. Okay. So we're 136,000 tokens. All right, cool. That's an awesome pick too. Do you have any cursor rules set up? My cursor rules do not behave like yours. Yes, I do. And the way I do them is usually when I start a project, I'll do /generate cursor rules. But before I do that, I try to have it trying to read my repo and have it understand the conventions of whatever is happening. So sometimes I'll like start with a template. And I'll say, please, like, you know, especially if it has the latest versions of code, then that's kind of where I'll kind of do that. I'll actually going to have a dedicated video around that because the workflow is pretty complicated. Not complicated, but there's a lot of steps to install. But the first thing is /generate cursor rules, /generate cursor rules. And then that'll actually just generate some baseline rules for you. And if you have like your favorite databases and things, like if you use the ref MCP or, you know, ref.tools or Exa.ai, you can say, I'm using this version of Convex and Next.js 15 and Tailwind CSS v4. Please do some research because we're going to generate some rules for this project. And I want you to inspect this project because I'm planning to do XYZ feature. And that way you'll set yourself up to be pretty good. And you'll know what to do from there. So in the future, okay, so this is cool. It's already putting my plans in here. So I think that's what was going on. When the results were generated, it would do this type of thing. Okay. Okay. Let's simplify the gallery to only show completed AI images. It makes sense. Users don't need to see the original uploads just to transform results. Yeah. Okay, cool. So the gallery, I think this should be already done. So this is all that changed on the Convex side. Oh, so then I should just refresh, I think. Nice. This is nice. Okay, cool. All right. I think we're good. Dang, that was fast. Okay, so what changed was this. Before we showed both because of the process completed. And now when you upload an image, it's prepared and uploaded. AI generates transformations, shows nothing in gallery yet. Generated appears in the gallery. So I believe we should show a placeholder, has active generations query, works properly, showing loading states of what's happening. So users see feedback is generated. Okay, yeah, this is cool. Keep all. Awesome. YOLO, bros. Okay. Let's go. All right. I should do two videos. One for cursor rules, complicated workflow, and another for greenfield projects. Yeah. Open spec. I need to check that out. I haven't really played around with that too much. Let's see here. Refresh. All right, cool. See, that first load takes forever, but there's probably some process I can kick off to like pre-cache this image or something like that. So that for some of these like that, so it just takes forever. But I want to like show up right away. So yeah, see that? Boop. So, but now like once it's loaded, it shows up. Yeah. But yeah, that's a small thing. That's not like a ship blocker, if you know what I mean. So that's the other thing. So if I drop new images now, let's see, drop this one, my friends. Let's see. Cool. All right, so it says 1 credit, 62 remaining, and transformation has started. So we no longer see the like wait window where we used to see the spinner. And so I think that's the problem here. There's like a regression. So I want to make sure I call that out. So the good thing is that now it's technically done already, but I don't even see that update either. Oh, so it says image process failed down below. Retry. We've queued your image for processing again. So did we get that credit back is the other thing. Processing. Interesting. So did it fail? No. Interesting. It did consume the credit. Nothing happened. Okay, there's all kinds of issues here. So it did. Okay, yeah. So there's a couple different issues here. And this is the things that I'll probably have to debug in a little bit because I have to get going. But so as of now, what we've been able to do is like, I originally was trying to use Codex for like an image processing pipeline. And I realized that maybe I didn't really need all that stuff, right? Like maybe just my main branch is just okay with whatever I have so far. And I think what I could possibly do now is like, because I created a feature branch for this in GitHub, I could just revert back just by clicking back the main branch and then I'm back to where I started. And so what's nice about that is everything kind of just rolls back and then I could just delete any data or delete any database stuff that I need to do and like kind of clear everything out. And so one of the things that we've learned here in this entire live stream is that we've been able to use GPT-5 Codex, the actual app and the plugin inside of Cursor. And so that actually lives, in here once you install it. And then the install command I've actually have earlier in the video, but if you weren't aware, I have that on my X post. Let's see, x.com. And so in X here, and this is something I have pinned up. This is also in the comments. So if you can't get the version of ChatGPT installed, you just run this command cursor-dash install extension OpenAI this, and then you're able to get the version that I'm able to get. That's the one that you can do the cloud versions. So we're able to deploy it in the cloud and take a look at the different cloud versions, version 2, version 3, version 4. And throughout this whole process, we actually found out that it was actually over-engineered. And the default stuff that I had going on with Vercel and the image optimization stuff that I had was just enough to get me going until about 10,000 users. And then it'll make even more sense after like 100,000 users that I should probably try some other approach for scaling, which would be a Cloudflare's R2 option and, it could save me several $100 a month. So at that time, I think this is a lot of different lessons I've learned about image processing. Is one, is not as simple or straightforward as it seems to be. You have to be concerned about bandwidth and, who's hosting your images and then where is it going to be served are like some questions you want to ask yourself. And then other thing too, it's like, how well does it play with my existing stack? And then those types of questions and there on forward. So as of right now, what I have to do is like, I caused a bunch of problems because I introduced a bunch of features and now I'm kind of starting to peel back the features. And I'm really glad that at the very beginning, I went into Git and I just created a feature branch. And I said, you always want to do that from the main branch. So that way the main production code isn't affected. And so in essence, I could just throw this entire thing away and start fresh again and say, now I have a better idea of where I want to move forward to. I just want to make sure that in this plan, I want to, start from scratch and then maybe take it forward saying, this is the plan that I want to execute. And I want to make sure that this is kind of where we're at right now, which is optimizing our, user uploads the images, minimal client-side processing if possible, get the stuff, return it back, and then let Vercel do its thing with its image optimization. So that's kind of where we're at for now. And we're able to see like a whole variety of things. We spent a lot of hours kind of researching this, but it's just really important early on to make sure that you stay on top of these types of tasks because it's not that like AI will solve everything. You want to use AI as your companion here for the research and then also to understand the code base and then ask yourself these questions of not only where the data comes in, but like where you're paying for different things like transferring from Vercel to Cloudflare. That could incur a cost of bandwidth, right? Transferring from Cloudflare or from, Vercel or transferring from Vercel to Convex, that's a bandwidth cost. Convex now sends that up to Google, and that's going to cost you something. And then Google sends that back to Convex, which will cost you something. And then Convex either stores it and then displays it back to Vercel, which will cost you something. So like you know, all these things can add up, and it may not be noticeable after 10 images or 100 images or 100 users, but they'll start to show up at a bigger scale. So architecture is an interesting thing. And if you're interested in kind of hanging out with me, I have a little Discord link that's currently in the live stream link. So rfer.me/Discord is probably a good place to kind of hang out with me. I'm like I will hang out with like mostly like a lot of folks, but if you do want to hang out one-to-one, I do have something like that. It's called a RFER, basically a one-to-one architect problems thing. So rfer.me/1337. Yes. And so this is something that I only have one more spot that's open right now for this coming week and the next week, because I'm currently in town for taking care of things. But basically it's just like we sit down for 30 minutes, 5 days in a row. If you have something that you're working on that you really want to get resolved, we can try to work with that. If it doesn't work for you or whatever, you know, after the first meeting, I'll be like, hey, I don't know if I could solve this problem. I'll give you your money back. Don't worry about that. So I only care about really trying to help you out if you're having some problems. And sometimes you just need someone else to kind of think through it with you. And that's where I'll have some dedicated time for you. So that'll be, it's a small little thing that I'm trying out, but I want to connect more with my community. I feel like if you've been able to stay this long on the stream or just hop in and you're kind of catching in, then you feel like this is right for you. This is your time to kind of do that. So check that out below as well. Check out the details. And yeah, thank you for kind of hanging along. We got to see a lot of different things. And in the next live streams, I'll probably go a little bit more. I'm going to have some recorded content that's also coming out. If you are a member, you get to see some of those members' early access. Some of the videos are currently unedited, and I have the editor kind of working through them right now. And right now is about configuring MCPs. So the two MCPs I talked about were ref.tools and then exa.ai. So in the members only video, I go over how to install them on all 4 platforms. So that's Cursor, Droid, Codex CLI, and then you also get that in Cloud Code as well. So Codex CLI has a TOML file, and has its own configuration, its own types of things. How you get the API keys, where you put the API keys and what commands to run. All the details are currently in that members only video. So if you want to check that out, if you're a member, definitely do check that out. And so there will be there will be timestamps on this live stream. So you can come back later on and you're going to see these timestamps also later out. So yeah, highly recommended Discord. Yeah. If you're in there, I think there's a lot of people in there where, yeah, does something. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it is. I appreciate everyone for hanging out, and hopefully you learned a whole bunch of things, and take some of this knowledge and share it forth with someone else, because I do appreciate everyone who's been able to help me, and I can help you back as well. So take it easy, y'all. Peace.